Hi folks, welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, an unofficial look at the world's coolest social network. Those of you watching on YouTube Live and Google Plus and on Justin TV, we will be looking at your comments and responding to them as we go. Joining me is a Google Plus Hangout, and from the left here we have Anthony Klauser in Rochester, New York. We have from Lynchburg, Virginia, we have Bruce Turner. We have Craig Shipp, who is in Frederick, Maryland. We have Gary Levin, who is California.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. How's everybody doing?
Good. You're in California, right?
Yes.
And then,
Southern California.
Southern Cal. And then Kirkland, Washington, fresh from a traffic jam, is Oleg Moskalinsky. And joining us, audio and... is the audio still functioning, Alan? The phone?
Just fine.
He mentions in the YouTube chat that his phone connection died, so...
Okay. Well, we have no Alan, but hopefully we'll get him back, and I guess I'll call him again. So, let me lead off. I'll kind of intro this topic here, and then we'll go to Oleg about this. It's quite a story. In the Wall Street Journal today, Jeffrey Katz, who is the CEO of Nextag, which is a comparison shopping website. It's a pretty good site. He wrote this absolutely moronic article, Google's Monopoly and Internet Freedom. When one company controls nearly 82% of the global search market and 98% of the mobile search market, it's time for serious changes. So I'm going to look, I've read the article, and there's an excellent article in Talking Points memo that kind of discusses this. And Google has responded to the charge. So what I'll do is I'm going to look at this thing, and his argument. It's easy to see when Google makes changes to its algorithm that effectively punish its competitors, including us, Nextag. Our data, which we shared with the Senate Judiciary Committee on September 21st, 2011, shows that without a doubt that Google has stacked the deck, and as a result, it has shifted from a true search site into a commerce site whose search algorithm favors products and services that from Google, and those from companies able to spend the most on advertising. The guy obviously just doesn't know what he's talking about, and so Google has responded with a wonderful post here that basically says much of what he's saying is not true, and the solutions that he suggests are already being implemented. And he goes through 6 specific things. This is from Amit Singhal, the Senior Vice President for Engineering of Google. One of the claims from Mr. Katz, the CEO of Nextag: most people believe that when they type convection microwave oven or biking shorts into Google, they will receive a list of the most relevant sites. Not true. That's how Google used to work. Now when someone searches for these items, the most prominent results are displayed because companies paid Google for that privilege. And then, of course, that's just nonsense. But Amit Singhal responds, let me be very clear, our unpaid natural search results are never influenced by payment. Our algorithm rank results based only on what the most relevant answers are for users, which might be a direct answer or a competitor's website. Our ads and commercial experiences are clearly labeled and distinct from the unpaid results, and we recently announced new improvements to labeling of shopping results. This is in contrast to most comparison shopping sites. Another claim: it's easy to see when Google makes changes to its algorithms that effectively punish its competitors, including us. And then Amit says, as we've said many times before, we build it to help users, not websites. We don't make changes to algorithms to hurt competitors. They make more than 500 changes a year. A claim from Jeff Katz: Google's used its position to bend the rules to help maintain its online supremacy, including the use of sophisticated algorithms weighted in favor of its own products. And he said, the response from Google: our algorithms are always designed to give users the most relevant results, and sometimes the best result isn't a website but a map, weather forecast, a fact, an answer, a shopping result, etc. Google should provide consumers with access to the unbiased search results it was once known for, regardless of which company or organization owns the service. Response: all major search engines, including Bing, long ago evolved beyond the simple 10 blue links And if they don't like it, you can go to Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, or even Google minus Google. Claim Google should grant all companies equal access to advertising opportunities, regardless of whether they're considered a competitor. Response from Google: we don't prevent competitors from advertising. It's an auction. Whoever wins the auction is there. And the final claim: in addition, Google often uses its prime real estate to promote its own, often less relevant and inferior products and services. And the response from Google: it's understandable that every website believes that it is the best and wants to rank at the top of Google results. The great thing about the openness of the internet is that if users don't find our results relevant and useful, they can easily navigate to Nextag, Amazon, Yelp, Bing, or any other website. I think it's best summed up in the first comment on the actual Wall Street Journal story from James Andrews. He wrote, "So what this guy is saying is competition is bad if someone wins. Government-imposed control, particularly on the basis of his anti-business opinions, makes markets more free. Protectionist Europe chafes at American business dominance too, so he must be right. What a brilliant guy. No wonder he was on Al Gore's staff." Oleg, this is a pathetic, ridiculous, nonsensical rant, right? What do you think?
Without any question, yeah. I mean, I think everything that was stated by Amit certainly makes sense to me. I mean, just to show an example right here, you can see on my screen. If you can bring it up, Dan, please.
It's up. You're good.
I did the search for Bing on Google, and guess what? There is a first thing right there at the very top. There is an ad related to Bing, it says, and it's an ad that Microsoft bought from Google. So the concept, you can see that other competitors. I mean, right there, the guy's lying through his teeth, saying that Google does not show any competitors. And what Amit says, it's totally true right there. There is the proof right there in front of you. There's an ad that they bought, Microsoft bought, and at the top of the list, searching for the word Bing. So certainly they buy it, and certainly Google shows it. And I totally agree with him. I mean, if people don't want to use Google, they certainly have Bing, they have Yahoo, they have other search engines out there. You can probably even find Alta Vista and Lycos, and 2.5 people still use those even today. So I think it's a total rant. The guy is irritated because his company is not ranked as high as it used to be, which means he loses revenue, so he rants. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they really smacked him around in the response.
They replied with the facts how they are, as opposed to how they're being alleged by them, being skewed towards them. That's all.
Yeah, and Dan, I thought perhaps his most relevant response in this Google public blog was that last paragraph. There has never been as much choice online as there is today. Over the last few years, we've faced competition from new players, including social networks, mobile apps, and specialty research sites. All that competition is great for consumers. It gives you more choices and makes us work hard to deliver you even more relevant answers day after day. And I think they do that.
Yeah, Bruce, those links you put in the chat room, they're excellent. It goes point
I think
point,
they do too. I think
counterpoint
one of the biggest issues.
Alan,
on both
go
points,
ahead.
it really is a place where people can look, and every point that Katz brings up, Google comes up with a great answer, and I think it's a great topic for people to really analyze what's really going on here.
Go ahead, Alan, while we have
And I think
you.
it's good that Google is. They've really had to. This is really the first time that they've needed to. I don't know. Do you have me?
Yeah, go ahead. Your video's
there.
awful, but we can hear your audio. Go ahead.
We can't hear his
Now we have video.
It's amazing my video is working at all. I mean, I think it's good that Google is finally coming back and being back hard and doing winning the hardest line people.
Here's proof that Google needs to do some work. For
Yeah,
people
this
in series.
Alan, you're really. It's like a bad Charlie Sheen impersonation. It's really bad.
Dan, there's two key points that Google left out of this that they really should have brought up. First of all, a business, if they have any brains at all, should build their own brand. That is their own website. All right, joesshoeshop.com. That's what Joe's Shoe Shop should be promoting to the world and building out there as a brand. He should be using Twitter. He should be using all the platforms to promote his brand, including Google, so that if Google does change the algorithms and he's not coming up quite as good in search as he did before, people can still go to his website. Guess what? I can go straight to Dan's website if I want to. I don't have to Google him. And so this notion that Google is the gatekeeper, that everybody has to go through Google to find a business and to do business with somebody is ridiculous. If businesses are relying on Google for their traffic, then live by the sword, die by the sword. There's no guarantees that Google's even going to be around in 5 or 10 years.
Right.
Google doesn't owe you anything,
business?
Craig. Google doesn't owe you anything. They don't owe me anything. If
That's right.
And frankly, I would take it a step further. I'm getting ready to go to the comments here. To take it a step further, Craig, I don't have a problem with them highlighting their products. I mean, in native search, they don't do that, but they'll put up an ad for something.
It's their sandbox. If we want to play in their sandbox, we play by the rules. But my point is, if you put all your eggs in that basket, then hey, good luck to you. My mom always told me, don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't count on it. And I tell all my clients the same thing. Don't count on Google. If you're doing great in Google today, fine. Count that as gravy. But you sure as heck can't count on it being there tomorrow. So
you're right. Like ask.com and about.com, those content farms, that's a good example of sites that figured out how to game Google to their advantage and made a ton of money. And Google realized that a lot of the stuff that they were writing was junk, useless garbage. Stuff like, I hate, the thing that bothers me when you type a question like, how many pyramids are there or whatever, right? And then you see the question listed in one of these sites, how many pyramids, and then you click on it, and then it says, be the first to answer, how many pyramids are there, right? And you just wasted your time.
You get a free iPad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And but I don't know, this guy's like just this pathetic, whiny loser.
How many hours do people spend on Facebook versus on Google? I mean, is there a stat around on that? I mean, I don't think Google has anywhere near a monopoly. I mean, we're talking about people's eyes and what are people looking at any given time. And I would say that people probably spend a lot more time looking at Facebook than they do looking at Google.
I think so. I just think even if a lot of the stuff he said was true, so what? If I make green beans, I mean it's their website, right? Oleg, if you make green beans,
what it boils down to then though is to this: is that Google put together a set of products and they continually evolve it, and it's so good that everybody, for the most part, uses it for their needs. And so these other people, like Nextag and everybody else, they jumped on the Google bandwagon because that's where most of the traffic comes from, because of how good Google did with their products and how popular they became because of how good they were. And now when things change somewhat and these people cannot be on that same bandwagon again, they start raising havoc, making it sound like it's a monopoly thing and everything else, when in reality, we know that there are other people who are providing similar services. You know, there's certainly, Google is not the only company out there. Google just happens to be providing the best thing there is. And I'm sure some people might argue that's not the case, but actually, if you really look at it without getting into all the minutiae, it is. That's why most people are on it, is because they provide the best answer to their needs, whether it's searching.
That's right. And if they don't continue to do that,
else.
If they don't continue to do that, if Google doesn't continue to give good results, then people will go somewhere else.
Exactly. But I don't think that's going to happen with Google. So with that being the case, that's all it really is. It's basically an envy. They cannot build these products themselves to be as good, because if they could, they would, but they're not. Nobody's coming up with things like that. Nobody has another Google Plus. Nobody has another Google Docs. Nobody.
Yeah, no. Hang on, Oleg, they're not talking about Plus or Docs or anything like that. They're talking about search. Search. That's the story.
Yeah, and Bing,
I'm just saying,
isn't Bing a pretty good search? And I don't use it, but isn't Bing also pretty good?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like other people can't do this. It's just
right. And Bing is fine, but what percentage of the market do they have? Baidu is fine, but what percentage of the market do they have? Yandros is fine, but what percentage of the market do they have? And can they leverage in?
Well, it may be about search, but the article that we're discussing was taken apart point by Google's response, and it includes more than search. So for every claim that was made, Google responded. So while it's majorly about search, it's about these other things too, because he makes many more complaints than just search results.
No, but this is what I was trying to say. Alan is right. As far as Nextag's guy is concerned, it is about the search. But the reason everybody flocks to Google is because of breadth of all these products. It's not just because of search, but because of everything else.
No, it's because of search.
No,
it's because of search. What percentage of all of Google's other services are used by anything? It's search and it's YouTube.
It depending who is using it. I mean, I use Google for all kinds of stuff all the time.
Yeah, but most people don't, Oleg. But most people don't. He's talking about Google has the lion's share of the search business. Google doesn't have the lion's share of anything else except maybe YouTube.
Yeah, Google is a verb. It's like, did you Google it? Did you? No one's saying, did you Bing it? You know, they're all saying, did you Google it? Google the answer. Google, look it up on Google. Yeah. No one's saying, look it up on Bing it. Go ahead and Bing it. I haven't heard that yet.
What about Gmail?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Gmail
is still a small player compared to the other major players.
Yeah, that's true.
It's making progress, but it's not a majority.
Well, each of these things add up, so the thing is greater. The whole is greater than the parts of the parts.
Exactly. People don't use Google just because of search. Maybe they use mostly because of search, but it's not just. It's combination of all these things together makes it for a compelling user experience.
Has anybody done a stat on how many hours a day people spend on Facebook versus on Google?
I believe it's 7 hours on Facebook and 3 minutes on Google Plus. I don't know about the
No, I mean on Google search. If you compared Facebook to Google.com, what's the ratio there? Does anybody know?
I mean, obviously, it's not going to compare because people are trying.
Because
you're trying to Because on Facebook, you're trying to keep the users on the website. On Google, basically, you're trying to get them the result that they want in off of the website or clicking through one of the ads, which again takes you off of the website. So you really cannot at all compare these.
Yeah, but while people are in
even more different than an Apple.
While people are in Facebook, they're searching and they're finding products and they're doing things and they're following links and they're doing all of those same things on Facebook. A lot of people just live in Facebook, never even leave it.
They do.
So to me, that's more of a monopoly than Google. Google, people leave it all the time, go other places and find things and so forth.
Let me make an analogy, guys. I have my news articles. I don't know if we've ever been on Drudge Report, any of my newspapers, right? Because they're mainly local stories. But this is like me writing a letter, wanting the FTC to investigate because Matt Drudge's Drudge Report gets all this traffic, and he decides to link to his friend Breitbart's site, right, instead of my site. Drudge doesn't owe me anything, even if they did favor one company or their own products. It's like at Walmart, you can't complain because I'm trying to do my green bean analogy. If you make green beans and they decide to move your green beans down a shelf to put the Great Value brand, what's wrong with that? It's their store. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's America.
All the time. Costco does it with their Kirkland signatures. That's what they do. Is they take popular products and they rename it with their own brand and they publicize that. Everybody does it.
What Jeffrey Katz is trying to do is he's trying to make an argument that in effect Google search is a utility, that it's gotten to be where everybody uses it, it's monopoly, and so as a utility we have to make sure that it's serving the population properly and not abusing its monopoly, and so that's where he's coming from on this. And basically my argument against that would be, first of all, if it is a monopoly, it hasn't been a monopoly long enough to where the jury's still out as to whether or not it will continue to be a monopoly, even if it is one. And even if it is one, if they start stacking the deck and search results and all, like he's implying they will do, if they start really doing a lot of these things, then their market share will probably start to slip, because people aren't going to like that.
Yeah.
And so the monopoly will erode away all by itself.
Well, is it a monopoly because they buy up competitors and that, or is it a monopoly because people like it? Abracadabra puts in the YouTube comments that Google search engine holds a web market share between 90 and 95% in the EU, which is as close to a monopoly as you can get it. Well, why do 90 to 95% of people in the EU use Google? They
Because
use it
everything
because
else
it works,
sucks.
because it's good.
Everything else sucks compared to
Yeah,
Google.
but, you know, it can't be considered a monopoly because you have the option to switch to another search engine at any point. There's many of them out there. Just like the same thing with the browser wars. Now, like you can, you know, it's the exact same argument.
Yeah, but when Microsoft was attacked for having a monopoly, they made the same arguments that there are other operating systems out there and so forth. But at some point, that argument doesn't hold water if you really do have a monopoly.
No, but they had to change their browsers to allow a default browser in their software. And they did that. And you can do that.
Yeah, but they didn't do that voluntarily. They were forced to do that.
But yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is Google has that same. You don't have to use Google as a search, and it doesn't have to be the default search on anything.
Jeff, what on earth is that crazy graphic you got going on?
That's my new show.
Is it? Is it about money and markets? Maybe.
It could be.
See, I'm smart. I'm intuitive.
You know what? When we talk about going, you know, to the website, and obviously when you're going to Google, you can just as easily go to Bing. But then you compare it to Microsoft with Internet Explorer on Windows, and the direct comparison would be Google Search on Android phones. But something I'd like to bring up and point out is that there's some Android devices that ship with Bing as the default search engine, even though it's Google's, you know, operating system. And something additionally in direct connection with this that I'd like to point out is that it is a lot easier to switch initially from Google Search on Android than it is to switch from Bing initially on Android. So you know, the problem with Microsoft was that they were putting Internet Explorer on the Windows operating system and making it very difficult, if not impossible, to switch. Whereas with Google, it's not a monopoly in the traditional sense, in my opinion, because you can easily switch from it, and they're not trying to handcuff you to their service.
Exactly.
Danny Sullivan has a great article on this entitled, Danny Sullivan, this is from searchengineland.com. He said, the title is this: Given Nextag's lack of transparency, its Wall Street Journal opinion piece asking for Google transparency isn't wise. And he said, he said 65% of traffic from Google is a stacked deck. So Danny Sullivan from Search Engine Land said, I've asked Nextag today to tell me the percentage of traffic it currently receives from Google now and for the past 5 years so that we can all understand how Google is stacking the deck has harmed his company. All the Nextag people are out for the day, it appears. Unfortunately, 2 separate PR people assigned the Nextag when I emailed them generated out-of-office messages. The third was told the email generated an undeliverable response. And he said he knows that 65% of Nextag's traffic comes from Google, which goes back to Craig Shipp's point that they should be building up their own site as a destination rather than relying on Google that doesn't owe them a damn thing.
And that can pull the rug out from under them anytime they want to.
Look at About.com and Ask.com. That's exactly what happened. They crushed those companies.
I like this comment on the Google public blog site, to their response. Yano says, his claims could easily be paraphrased as, I'd like our site to be featured high on Google regardless to merit, and I'll generalize my absurd claims as to try and hide how convoluted my demands are.
You know, I hate seeing people write, you know, articles about this that, you know, attack Google or whoever you might, you know, be. Because you can see right through it. You can see, oh, he's the CEO of a major website and he's not getting the kind of traffic that he wants from Google, and he's complaining and crying about it because he's not doing a, you know, a well enough job of doing his job.
Well, you know, I condemn the Wall Street Journal even more than I condemn him, because this is just more grandstanding by the old dinosaur media who are stuck in the tar pits and struggling and trying to survive, and they put out a piece like this. So we're all talking about it, and a bunch of people are going to talk about it. It's link bait. They're going to get a bunch of links.
That's an unfair hit, Craig.
It's a tabloid piece.
Craig, it's an unfair hit. It's a letter to the editor from the CEO of Nextag.
You don't have to publish it.
Oh, of course they're going to publish it. It is link bait, which is, of course, how you...
They're publishing it. They're grandstanding. It's BS.
It is BS, but they knew. But all the readers are trashing the guy with these brilliant observations. But he's entitled to his First Amendment rights if the CEO of a company weighs in on a controversial issue.
Let him put it on his own blog. Let him put it on his own blog.
But why can't they publish it?
Why?
They can publish it, but I sure wouldn't subscribe to them. And
the Wall Street Journal is a very profitable. Dow Jones is they're doing very well. It's the #1 newspaper in America.
They're going to go down the tubes too.
Well, it gives Nextag a lot
whatever.
of
Oh yeah, but you know,
how long has Nextag been around?
Hey, for the average user, Google is better than it's ever been.
Right.
That's the question.
that is the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That is absolutely the answer. It just gets better and better and better.
And that's from our unbiased panel. Now let's go to the viewers. Let's go to the viewers here and see what the deal is. We've got from Abracadabra. I'm trying not to repeat anything that you guys have mentioned. Google has been given until early July by the EU Commission to change its business practices to avoid formal sanctions resulting from an antitrust investigation into the company. Screw Europe. They're a basket case. Who are they to tell anybody anything? Under EU competition policy, the Commission has the power to demand fines of up to 10% of a company's annual turnover. Google revealed annual turnover figures of $485 billion for 2011. China thought they could push Google around. Nice Chrome toolbar, top left corner. Anybody know what plugin he's using?
That was for Oleg.
That's for me. Yeah. It's not a plugin. It's just a Chrome theme. Go to themes and settings and change it. It's called Marble or something like that. But that's all it is. It's not any kind of toolbar. And I got a bunch of all kinds of links on there and stuff, but anyway, it's not a toolbar, it's just a theme.
Galaxy says, I used to watch this show on my phone. Why is it not supported this time? Did you watch it live on your phone?
No, you can't watch Hangouts on there on mobile right now.
Yeah.
So how did he watch? You must have watched Justin, or he watched the recorded version?
Before I show it, that's all.
Okay. We don't know. And then I guess the comment, someone else from Abracadabra, that they hold a web market share of between 90 to 95% in the EU because everything else sucks, and they don't. George Cozy, so what's that guy's complaint about that Google is the preferred search engine? Then they do what are supposed to do well, that they don't organize the search engine as he would like it. He isn't the customer, we are. Yes. As the guy from Google, Amit, vice president, said, he said, we don't exist to help websites. We exist to give relevant search results for our users. And if he doesn't like it, he's more than welcome to create his own search engine, which will just blow
Dan,
Google away.
I do have the solution. So I have a search engine on my website, craigship.com. So they can just go there and use that search engine. Works very well. Now, it is powered by Google, unfortunately, but oh well. It's the way of the world. They have a monopoly after all.
You can use Bing.
That's awesome.
Nice move, though, Craig. I like it. Hey, and if you want some market news...
Just to note, Craig Shipp is the guy who was criticizing the Wall Street Journal for link baiting.
Yeah.
Exposed for the SEO whore that he is.
That's right.
Good for you. God bless America.
Loans, but he floats money.
And then
there, Jeff.
They want a search engine. We got search engines for them.
Oh, I hear you, Abracadabra. I'm just saying.
Nextag should just use Pinterest as their driving force.
That's right. Pinterest is big now.
Exactly.
It's big for product shopping too, right?
To keep all the SEO guys employed, right? It's kind of like the jailbreakers. Every time iOS comes out with a new operating system, trying to crack the code, Google changes their algorithms, trying to make a better product. All the SEO guys got to get on the stick to get everybody the results they want.
And that's who he should be attacking, is all these SEO snake oil salesmen. They're the ones that are out there doing everybody every which way.
Okay, so any final thoughts on this? Have we beaten this horse?
We all agree, Dan.
Yeah, we all agree that it was an excellent piece from Jeffrey Katz from Nextag, who's
and I'm going to definitely renew my subscription to the Wall Street Journal right away.
How can you call them some dinosaur writhing in their final death throes in a tar pit? Give me a break. It's the
This is the beginning of the end. They're circling the drain.
You're so full of crap.
Craig.
He does this to get a rise out of me, because I'm a legacy journalist with a chain of successful
I'd play a vintage
newspapers.
Tidy Bowl commercial, but then it would cause you to get taken down. So I won't.
Yeah, but Dan, you wouldn't have published this article.
Oh, of course I would have. I would have done it because I knew it would be in the news. Everyone would be talking about it. They'd have to go to my site to read it. My readers would trash the guy in the comments. Look, just because Jeffrey Katz is a complete sniveling, whiny moron does not mean that he doesn't have a right to his First Amendment freedoms.
Hey, Dan, you could always.
Why
you could
does
always,
he have the right to put it on the Wall Street Journal?
Because it's a great story. It's a great letter. We're all talking about it. It's our top story.
Dan, you could always.
If it was done on April 1st, we would think it was an April Fool's joke.
Dan,
yes, sir.
you know what you need
Jeff
to do?
from View. What's the name of your show again, Jeff?
View on the Market.
What's it about?
It's about
Money?
financial planning. Money. Money.
You're a retired guy living in a motorhome, and you're going to tell me about financial planning? I'm just kidding.
I would much rather.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm
subscribe to
sorry.
View on the Market.
This was a joke, so I'm sorry, but I had to say it. I said you could always publish something about My Bodyguard on Netflix. You know, in that way.
Oh, no.
You know, that was an unfortunate
You'll make news.
situation. All right, I'm going to tell a funny thing. This is an honest-to-God thing. I don't know the details of this yet. This is just for comic relief. Totally unrelated to anything about Google, except I posted it's from a Google Plus post, so that's how it's related. I was going to the grocery store today, to Martin's in Front Royal, Virginia, and I have a police radio in my car. And I can't transmit, but it's an actual police radio by the same company that makes them, and it's real nice and fancy, and I can hear everything, but I can't, transmit. So I listened to this thing. This is an honest-to-God call. The dispatcher. A lady says some very expensive flowers were stolen from her garden, and she says that she has located the flowers in a neighbor's garden up the street. So then the cops say, okay, Unit 3, Car 54 responding or whatever, and then the dispatcher has another call about 3 minutes later. We received a call that from the caller states that a woman refuses to leave her yard because she's accusing her of stealing her flowers, and the cop says, "I swear to God, can I assume these calls are related?" And the dispatcher, yes, that would be a fair assumption. This is epic. It was great. I mean, they were kind of joking around, I mean, you could tell there was tongue in cheek, but it was just it was an epic dispatch.
Now, if you're allowed to monitor that, are you also allowed to record it or not?
I'm sure, because we can, you can. Some of them run live on the internet, and they'll give us a recording. If I called them and said, "Let me have a recording of this," they would give it to me under FOIA, so it's not secret. Yeah, I think you get in trouble if you were broadcasting that they're doing a checkpoint at this location, whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what the laws are, to be honest. I mean,
I'm sure you're not supposed to have it in your car, actually. But
you've got iPhone apps where you can monitor this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they're not scrambling their communications, then
it's public airwaves.
I don't know if you can record it though. I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
It wouldn't matter, because I could just tell them to give me a copy, and they would have to give me a copy, and they usually do it for free. I mean, they always do it for free.
I always wondered why they don't scramble those communications.
They can. Some of them do, and they can.
Just like
why wouldn't they just do it with all of them? I mean, why?
It's a cost. Because they're legacy dying media in the final death throes, circling the drain into the tar pit.
Because everything's by paper.
Because everything that Craig does is advanced.
Scrambling radio conversations has been cheap for years.
Yeah, most of it's a legacy issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just a cost thing. But yeah, I've got some great stories from that. And then Margie Heron says she hates Pinterest. Have any of you who use Google Plus discussed the Google group? I'm not sure what you mean. If you could clarify that. And Abracadabra says The Economist is better anyway. George Cozy says, I wouldn't trash the EU Commission. It is a good thing that even Google is kept in check. Somebody should watch what every big corporation does. Indeed.
Yes. Yeah, we can trash. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of... I don't know. I think that there's so... I don't know. It's basically a continent that has much more socialism than we have over here, and now they're going bankrupt. And I hear what you're saying, though. And then thanks for the reply, folks. It means a lot. Johnny in Dublin, Ireland. I've been to Dublin, Ireland, and have relatives. I have third cousins in Dundalk, which is I guess north of you. So what's next, guys? There's some other stuff going on. There was the Meebo purchase. They bought Quick Office, which is a neat app for your phone that will let you open documents of different formats. It's the only way on a lot of phones for you to open and view a PDF or a Word format document.
You can edit it too.
With the Plus version, you can edit it, correct? Or you just to create it, you have to get the Plus one. Or both?
Yes. You need the Plus. Premium, whatever it is.
That's Jeff from View on the Market.
A little while ago, I got it because Amazon had a free download of it.
That's when I got it. I think you probably heard about it from me because I was very helpful that day. Okay, so what else do you guys want to talk about? Anybody have any topics? We've run out of topics.
I tried out.
In terms of features, I guess all the big features last week when I was in Disneyland. We can talk about Disneyland.
Tell us about Disneyland. Is Google there?
Talk about airtime.
You had stuff in the Google Docs about FaceTime and airtime, Dan. Anybody want to weigh in on that one?
Who put that in there? Alan or
Jason did?
I'm not sure who put that in. It's there.
Jason did.
But they made some changes. I mean, in terms of Google Plus, you can now, since Alan didn't show up, basically they made a little tweak to the text posts where you can now put spaces, and so you can actually indent things, which are pretty, you can format a little bit more formatting than you had before. Not a huge thing, but for some things it makes sense to use. And then another thing, they had some other thing that they did, some minor deal.
I'm gonna try to call Alan again while we're going here. Sorry.
Little indicators for people who are on the phones in the chat, so you can tell if people are
on a mobile phone or
offline on the phone, that kind of stuff.
Mobile phone or whatever. Yep.
Now, Craig, you said you had some information about the development of the Hangout lower third app.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there could be some really cool new features coming. One feature I would like, you can see my Hangout lower thirds there now. Once I talk for like, let's say 5 seconds, it'd be kind of cool if that faded away and was gone and not taking up the screen. So that's something that I asked about, and the developer said yes, it's in the pipeline. And then the way it hides the or the Google Plus logo interferes with it in the recorded version. That's in the pipeline. Also being able to save them, and being able to maybe have multiple ones saved and have one as your default. That's supposedly in the pipeline. So the lower third is going to be really, really cool. Hopefully pretty soon. It's already pretty cool already, but getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent app. Of course, mine is a little bit different because mine says View on the Market.
Now, do you have viewonthemarket.com, or are you relying on Google for us to search that?
I'm relying on Google, actually. I only did one show. So
you can't afford to get a domain, basically what it means.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, should we let everybody know that Jason Salas is not here because he's covering the Mango Festival in Guam?
God, I hope that Sarik shows up. Because he's at the New York, it's beer night in New York City apparently. So I'm really hoping Sarik shows up because he will be in rare form. So Oleg, tell us about Disneyland.
So basically, this is a throwaway episode, huh?
Pretty much, because
no. Has anyone tried airtime? I kind of looked at it.
I looked at it.
It's the latest multi-user video conferencing. Is it multi-user or just one-on-one?
No,
it's peer-to-peer.
Yeah, it's not multi-user.
What's his name? Isn't that Facebook guy's deal?
Anthony, you can tell it's a throwaway episode when he invites me into the Hangout. That's how you can tell.
Dan, Airtime populates his contact list from Facebook.
Has anyone used Airtime? Does anyone want to?
No, because the thing is the Facebook guy. What's his name?
Zuckerberg.
The guy's name now. The guy who invested a bunch of money in that and.
Sean Fanning, right?
No. He's one of them. The second, Sean Parker. Sean Parker.
Well, you know, it's kind of like a combination of chat roulette and
that's a good way to put it.
And you know, people you know, so you can basically do a FaceTime with someone that you know, right? Or you can just say, I want to talk to anybody who has the same interest in me, and it pops up a person who's anonymous.
But just two people.
Yeah, it's got this little next button. You can kind of just pivot like through a circle.
Yeah, exactly.
But it stops from doing it if you do it too often. It's a stop. You have to wait 30 seconds before you can do it again.
Yeah. So it's it's kind of interesting. If you want to meet new people, I guess it's okay, But and they do it off your interests.
Are they going to open it up to more than two people at a time?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Because I can tell you, a hangout with just two people is very awkward. I had one with Dan the other day, and we had some really awkward moments.
Well, if you meet somebody,
Dan's page is going down the drain, and
it's very easy to get rid of somebody you don't like. You just hit the next button, and you're off to the next person.
I see.
What a time sink.
Yeah, but it's a great way. I mean, if you just want to talk to your friends one-on-one, it works.
Wouldn't that freak you out though if Mark Zuckerberg just popped in your Hangout like it did for that guy?
Exactly.
Oleg, is that a picture of you as a child with SpongeBob?
Thank you. I appreciate the comments about my age, Gary, but I'm not quite that young.
Oh,
that's awesome, Oleg. Tell us
That's really Oleg. That's not.
Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this Disney picture?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah. This is a quiz. Can anybody say what's wrong with this Disney picture?
SpongeBob isn't Disney.
Exactly.
Right.
See? Ben does know his stuff. Now, this is from Universal Studios. Now, this is my son, Ben, Gary. That's not me.
Now I see the resemblance.
Yeah, and there is him with Pluto. This was Disney. And then he was with Mickey.
Margie Lee Heron makes a great comment in the YouTube. Most people have hundreds of strangers on their Facebook that they don't video chat with. Why would anybody need airtime to video chat when they don't use Skype? I don't even use Facebook chat. I stay offline in Facebook chat because
exactly.
I get interrupted multiple times during the day, and I've got too many other things to do. I mean, I don't mind posting and reading somebody else's post and liking it and sharing it, but I don't have the time to get surprised by multiple chats, much less video conversations throughout the day. And like she said, I mean, there are some people there that aren't necessarily your quote friends.
Right. Yeah, but you have to be in airtime for it to work. You can't be in. I don't think you have to be in Facebook.
No, but like with Skype, for example, FaceTime is nothing more than Skype for iPhone. But it's a little bit easier. You can make an argument. It's a little bit easier because two people get together and they want to chat with each other video-wise. Then you use Skype. You call the other person. They answer. With Hangouts, it's like you start a Hangout. There's nobody there, so people kind of get a little. They don't know what to do. It's people who are new to Hangouts. But I don't think it's any competition or threat at all. It's a different product, and people still obviously use FaceTime on iPhones because I don't know. I think they have available Skype now on iPhone too. I think they released it at some point. Is that true or not?
Say that again.
Do they have Skype on iPhones yet or not?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Because initially when they came out, they didn't. I mean, it was just FaceTime was the only thing you could use, and you could only use FaceTime with other iPhones. You couldn't use it with other software. I don't know right now. Can you use FaceTime with like an Android phone or not? Using another service, in other words. Probably not.
No, it's only iPhone to iPhone, and normally it has to be on Wi-Fi. Unless you're jailbroken and you use a program called My3G, you can FaceTime over a 3G network.
Yeah. Now, I was doing from LA when I was in Los Angeles. I was doing some quick hangout, a little bit of hanging out with from my phone. It was great. It does the job.
So Dan, this is what happens when you get Cam a little bit sideways in one of his Hangouts. You don't do it more than once.
Is that Cam Meadows?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. He's like that Russian guy with the giant guns. That's cool.
Yeah, that does look cool.
So he's probably not a big Obama guy.
That was last night. You should have seen them. They were all showing off their guns in the Hangout.
I could have got I got a 357 up there with hollow point bullets.
Now, did Eric?
You get
Rice
one
have
shot if you
something
bust in
to-
here. Huh?
I think they were shooting at Eric.
He looks a little scared.
He looks a little scared. He's got the blue hair on.
I was scared of Goofy when I was a kid, and but anyway, okay. So to continue our throwaway episode, as Anthony so graciously put it, not inaccurately.
We just finished early today. That's all.
George Cozy said, Dan McDermott, what has Europe's socialism and the financial crisis got to do with EU Commission keeping an eye on what corporations do? Basically, that was for dramatic effect. Nothing. I was being.
No, it's
Well, yeah,
I was
wait a
being.
minute.
Let me answer. Let me say.
If the EU can't manage themselves, how can they manage other companies, right?
No.
But it's
called
not
a
about
shakedown.
that.
It's a shakedown. They want money. They're shaking them down for money.
Yeah, big
No.
government needs money to operate.
It's shakedown. It's a shakedown.
What
Well,
it
the truth
is.
the EU doesn't quite know what it is yet.
The answer.
So that's what austerity is: shaking down Google.
Exactly.
The answer is that.
Well, first of all, Microsoft. Now they're moving on to Google.
The answer is that Europe is being manipulated by sniveling rodents like Jeffrey Katz, who are spewing nonsense and lies because they, have a business model that relies on the whims of Google. And while they've made billions in the past, all of a sudden, Google makes it more relevant, and maybe there are competitors who are showing up in search where they were, and so he's pissed, and tough cookies. But if Europe is stupid enough to fall for that nonsense, then that's the real problem. They're doing a disservice, and they're wasting a bunch of time. It's like all these Samsung. I mean, if I hear about another Samsung Apple lawsuit, geez, how many? How long is this? I know we will. Okay, any other interesting topics you guys want to talk about? Because
We have something interesting in California. I don't know if it applies to everyone else.
from View on the Market, we have Jeff Zayas.
Or Zayas, whatever.
What the hell?
No,
What's up with it's odd looking.
it is odd looking, isn't it? I'm playing with it. It's my little money. But speaking of money, okay, here's something very interesting. Only 13% of the population in California smoke, right? And they had a big Proposition 29 to tax $1 per cigarette, $1 per pack of cigarettes, right? And there's only 13% of the population, actually smoke, but they voted it down because it was a tax. Now that is kind of crazy, don't you think? That and plus, tobacco was able to pour about $40 million in advertisement, saving.
Yeah, that's the answer. Is the tobacco lobby? That's the answer.
It is just nuts.
Yeah.
It was absolutely nuts. I don't even see how that could work, but somehow it did.
I have to tell you, even if I live in New York and I was voting on a tax in California on cigarettes, I would vote against it because. Okay, I'll go into this. It's a person's right to smoke, especially when they're doing it in their own privacy, and this is just the government trying to inflict their opinion on that smoking is bad, and that's why it's
it's a money grab. They want the money.
They want the money
Right,
for
exactly.
for research in schools and things like that.
Right, they want the money. And they're trying to tell people not to smoke. It's the same thing with where they wanted to put these, disgusting pictures on the side of cigarette packages to discourage people from buying cigarettes. I mean, it's the same kind of thing as, Bloomberg trying to ban anything larger than a 16-ounce of sugary drinks. Sugary drinks, so it's not soda, it's sugary drinks. In my opinion, the government...
The proof that it's a money grab is the same thing with the lottery. They tell people, okay, you can't gamble, it's bad, you shouldn't gamble, and then the state opens up a lottery and says, okay, buy your lottery tickets from us. Because it's obvious that they need the money.
Well,
big, huge government needs a lot of cash. It's simple as that.
Now, they contract that out to an organization and they take a piece of it. But
That's right.
Yeah.
A big piece.
A big piece. It's like waste management, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, I have what I think is
Come
an interesting question. You know, Craig, you brought up this this hangout that you were in, and it had the funny pictures of the family drawing all their guns and stuff like that. I know that Jeff and I hang out in a hangout frequently during the week. It's called Tech and Coffee. You can find out more about that by going to techandcoffee.info. They've been really working hard on their website. It's another shameless plug, right, Jeff?
Yeah,
from View on the Market. This is Bruce from techandcoffee.info. But seriously, they've developed a hashtag that enables you to find, because, you know, we don't have static URLs yet. And so there's a hashtag that you can search for on Google+. You can find, you know, where the Tech and Coffee Hangout is meeting. You know, we have admins, we have hosts, and they've really been working hard. And I enjoy it. I work from home. It's my social interaction during the day. What are some of the other hangouts that you guys participate in regularly that you enjoy, and what value do you get out of it? What recommendation would you give for it?
Wonderful question. Mine is Tech and Coffee.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
What website could we find that on, Jeff?
I think it's techandcoffee.info.
Is it ampersand? Is it all small letters? I'm just kidding.
It's Tech and Coffee spelled out.
The email address, is it at or the @ sign?
To avoid confusion, why don't you put it in the chat box?
But do you guys broadcast that, Bruce, or is it just a regular?
No, it's just a tremendous, satisfying community experience during the week, in the evening, sometimes on the weekend. Here's a great case in point. Everybody is welcome that comes there. I met a guy on a hosted show that I do on Sunday morning called Computers 2K Now. You can find out more about that at computers2know.com. There's another shameless plug. And it's a 3-hour tech show. But we had a gentleman who logged in through TalkShoe, and he has serious cerebral palsy, so he cannot speak. And he was able to connect to a phone line, and there was an operator that was able to read things that he was laboriously typing in chat. Then she would read them out loud to us on the show. And he had never been in a hangout before, and I invited him to the Tech and Coffee Hangout. He was warmly received. It's hard for him to communicate, but we've had a lot of different people there. It's just a great community, and I'm wondering how many other communities might there be out there like that. That was basically my question. You know,
Bruce,
where are you guys hanging out?
Interesting topic, because Ken Smith and I were developing this thing called Blind Veterans Help Desk, which is in the chat box, and it's basically the same thing where blind veterans can help deaf veterans and relay messages to people. We've actually had a couple of these people in the Hangouts, and on the 31st of May, they actually made a phone call using Google Hangouts to the White House.
That's interesting.
I didn't get a hold of Obama, but they got a hold of the answering machine, but it was an interesting demonstration for disabled veterans.
Didn't Mohammed Mansour do an extension for that as well? So
he did a modification. Yeah, VoxChrome or something thereof that worked very well. They were able to read the chat box.
So we're recording a show every Monday evening at 8 p.m. called Pageant Live.
Okay.
And we have a bunch of title holders that have won various pageants, and we have like makeup artists and people related to it, photographers, so on. We've done like 4 shows so far, and it's getting more and more popular. And so what I'm using Hangouts for primarily is creating content like that. We also did one called Frederick Week, copying off of Dan, for the local portal website here in Frederick. We're going to do that every Friday morning at 10, and we just did the first one this morning. And so I'm going to be using this platform to really primarily to create and distribute content.
So you did on that, because I'm looking to do a local thing. Is that was an on-air? We could find that on your...
Yeah, we just did our first one. You go to frederickweek.com.
Okay.
And we just did our first show. It was the director of communications for Frederick County was in it, and another person that works for the county, and just me. It was just our first show, so we were getting our feet wet. Next week we'll have people from parks and different divisions and all in there, and somebody from tourism hopefully. And so yeah, we're going to do it every week at 10. and it went well. They liked it, they enjoyed it, and I think that's a great use for the platform.
Yeah.
How much time did you have to train them on how to use a Google Hangout and a webcam?
Well, Robin had already been in one with me before, and then the other woman just sat in with her in her office, so they were together on the same camera. So we only really had just the two of us, that had to get in. So she's going to train the other people this next week and get them up to speed, hopefully. So next week's show should be relatively smooth. We'll see.
Now, that Hangout's going to be a Hangout where you have invited guests and panelists. One of my questions had to do with just a regular Hangout where people are just enjoying community and engaging in conversation. Like Margie has a comment in the YouTube chat. Are there any great Hangouts just for women? If you know of some, or if people know of some, could you ask them to get in touch with me, please? I would just Google, Hangouts for women, and I would just see, what shows up. You can do a lot of great searches from within, Google Plus itself, and may come across some like that. But
and there are a lot of public Hangouts. I dodge into some of them sometimes, but not that often. And like the Hangout with Cam last night, most of that I can't talk about.
Right. Some of those public Hangouts can be risky and risque. I avoid those, but Tech and Coffee kind of sucked me in by the description, and it's been really great. There are safe Hangouts, and then there are unsafe Hangouts. But when you find one that you really enjoy, that's open and inclusive and has great discussion and a respect, and tolerance for different viewpoints, boy, it's a great find, and that's
Now,
if you
Tech
know of
and
any.
Coffee, that's not public, is it? I mean, I've been in there before.
No, it's not public, but the community continues to grow.
Gotcha.
I joined a couple of times.
Right? Yes, you are, and you can follow Tech and Coffee, the Google profile. If you'll do a search for Tech and Coffee, you'll find their profile. You can follow them there. On the About page, you'll also find that hashtag at the bottom where you can search for wherever the current Hangout is. Also, one of the admins will post a link to where the current Hangout is. But it's a great community.
Yeah, I've gone in there to ask questions.
Starbucks sponsor them, Bruce.
A couple comments from the web, but I got to ask. Excuse me, I got to ask Craig. What was the Hangout with the guns? Was it like?
Well,
Ron Paul or Tea Party or what?
Cam was into the tequila pretty heavy, and and so things went. What can I say? I don't know. It was bizarre. The shots that I showed you are the ones that I can show you.
That sounds pretty epic. Yeah. Okay. Comments, and then we'll go. I want to check in with Wesley over here, who just joined us. Abracadabra says, if you smoke, I smoke. Passive smoking causes 1% of all global premature deaths. YouTube isn't. Margie, Bruce talked about that. Are there any Hangouts just for women? And that's odd that you, Craig. I got to tell you, I'm surprised you would have, of all the topics you could talk about, with all your SEO and website success and knowledge, that you would do a Hangout about beauty pageants of all things. That seems like an odd choice for a man, not to be gender, Well, they have a lot of pageants in this area, and they do fundraisers with them, and we help them promote them on our sites. And is it a local thing, or is it like it's a?
Yeah, pageants are all over, but a lot of the people that are coming into this show by default are local, just because those are all the ones that I already know. But they do fundraisers, and they have an organization called the Miss America organization. Is all about scholarships. So Miss Maryland Week is coming up here, I think next week in Hagerstown, right near here, where they have the main competition. And I'll go there and shoot some photos and cover it for the websites. And these girls get a lot of scholarship money. It really does a lot of good for them. I'm a real proponent of what they do. And they're having a great time with this show, where they're just getting in and doing the roundtable discussion and just having a good time. And they're allowed to talk about their platforms and just their learning experience and competing like that. And a lot of people are anti-pageants, and so we're trying to show all the positive aspects of it. And a allow these girls a platform to do that.
Awesome. I'm glad that you're sticking up for the Padgetts.
Somebody has to.
Absolutely.
A lot of great stuff there.
If you get to know them, they're really, a lot of them are very special. They're very talented. Not all of them. I mean, you know, but especially in the Miss America organization, which is very education and scholarship based. There's some quality young ladies there.
Wesley, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. How you guys doing today?
Good. Did you see that? Were you familiar with our first story that we talked about, the Wall Street Journal article? Do you have any thoughts on that? Or the op-ed submitted to them from this sniveling, whiny guy complaining that Google's a monopoly and doesn't highlight his products as prominently as they used to because they've improved their search engine since the old days.
Well, I've read a little bit up on that. Now, my thoughts on that is, I mean, what is Google monopolizing? I mean, they've got competitors and everything that they do. So I think the guy's just jealous of some sort. I don't know if he just doesn't like Google and wishes he can kind of spark a debate on trying to shut them down, or I'm not sure. What is your take on it?
I think me?
Yeah.
I think the guy's a moron and he's full of crap.
Yeah, I mean,
They're gonna ban
Dan, can you tell us how you really feel about it, though?
Yeah, I really unloaded on Facebook the other day. Someone said that. Dan, what are you really trying to say?
Yeah.
I think my title of my post was "Another Reason to Hate Those Facebook Bastards" or something like that. Just totally over the top.
I got a warning from them today.
For what? Do tell.
They're thinking about closing my. This is a second account I'll have closed because lately I've been promoting the Pageant Live show quite a bit in the Hangout, that it's in Hangouts and so on and so forth, and promoting the concept of Hangouts and telling them they need to learn how to use them and so on and so forth, and doing this on Facebook. And they basically warned me that I can't do that or the account's going to be shut down.
Because you're posting too many links and not enough
Because,
comments.
Because he's pushing Google Plus.
Aggressive promotion, I think, is what they call it, or some sort of generic term they have like that. But it's exactly what I was doing was Google Plus Hangouts.
Yeah.
Could you forward us the copy of that message?
It was a pop-up, I didn't screen. I should have screenshot it. It was what happened was I was forced logged out of Facebook, and then I had to log in. And then I had to agree. I had to check off a checkbox agreeing that I wouldn't do. And then it was kind of a generic type thing, you know. And then once I checked that off, I could continue to log in. I should have screenshot it, but it was a generic thing. It didn't say Google Plus, but that's what I've been doing, and that can be the only thing that they're talking about. And this has happened to me twice. I had another account shut down.
I mean,
for the same reason, you know, back when Google Plus first started, I was really promoting it. And I used to have Facebook.com/Craig Shipp was my main account on Facebook. And that one's history, gone.
That's weird. Anthony, what are your thoughts? Because every single thing I put on there is I rarely post anything specifically to Facebook. I have that, I forget what it's called. That takes
share.
all my posts to what is it called?
Extended share.
No, it's something that sends everything to Twitter, and then Twitter sends it, then it goes from Twitter to Facebook. So every single post on Facebook is a Google Plus link.
Yeah, but that's not what they are mad about. What they're mad about is if you're going on Facebook and you're going to people on Facebook and telling them they should be on Google Plus and they should be using Hangouts and they should be, you know. That's a horse of a different color. Try doing that for a while and see what happens to you.
How do they even have time to monitor to know? Which is,
well, obviously it's computerized.
Yeah, they must have an algorithm or something.
Is that from Facebook, Craig?
Yeah. And I've talked to other people that have had the same problem.
I do it all the time, and I've never got any kind of kickbacks or anything. I get people all the time in my family and friends always ask me, "Do you work for Google?" I'm like, "No." Well, I'm like, "Well, that's all you post is Google crap, you know." It's like my logo on Facebook and everything is all Google Plus. I
I mean, I don't know. I understand where they're coming from strictly as a business. I mean, in general, it's pretty absurd. But if you're posting things on your walls, like, are you posting to other people's walls?
No. I was also messaging people, going and sending them a message, inviting them to the show and telling them how to sign up for Google Plus and all that. Basically a form message that I was going in and sending them. Now, these are friends of mine on Facebook, right?
Right, exactly. So here's my question. With that in mind, do you think that you are upsetting any of your
I don't know. I didn't get
friends?
feedback from any of them complaining about it, because it's not like I spam them with it over and over again. I'd send it to them once,
Right, but I mean, because if you're interacting with your friends and your friends have no problem with it, then it really...
is
none of Facebook's
I know it's
concern.
another automated thing, because very often they would start bringing up the CAPTCHA, that I'd have to type in the funny CAPTCHA stuff, and I'm just sending somebody a message who's a friend of mine on Facebook, and I have to put in the CAPTCHA. I mean, so they can tell that it's like something I'm copying, pasting into there that I've pre-written, right?
Right.
And then what they probably do is they probably match that up and say, okay, I've sent the same message to like 50 people in 2 days, and then they look at the message and they see that it's Google Plus, telling them why they should be using it and all that. I don't think it's a stretch that they're putting 2 and 2 together and they know what I'm doing, and they warn me.
But I think if you're sending the same message to 50 people individually, I would think the warning is warranted.
Try it for a while and see what happens to you.
Why don't you just send a message to 1 million people? You can do that. I mean, you can put a whole bunch of names in there.
And then you can become like that guy that got sued for $1 billion. What was it?
I'm our former guest.
Yeah, I'm specifically inviting people that I want to have in the show. So it's not. I'm not just sending it to everybody. But still, I'm just saying and I've been doing it now for like a month. Right, it wasn't like I did it just once or twice. I've been doing it consistently since we started the show, and they warned me.
So there's a bunch of possibilities. I mean, there's a possibility that they're striking you strictly on the merits of Google Plus. There's a possibility that they're striking you strictly on the merits of spamming, and there's the merit that you ticked off someone that you don't know and they complained and they're hitting you. Or, I mean, and there's probably maybe some other things that I'm not thinking of, or, it could be a combination of those 3 things that I said.
Yeah, but I've done a lot of messaging in the past on other subjects about other things like Frederick.com and other totally unrelated to Google, and doing the same exact thing that I'm doing now with Google Plus, inviting people to do this or to put things on the events calendar, whatever, and I've never gotten gigged for any of that.
What kind of response do you get when you do that? How many people will respond and put their events on the calendar?
Oh, we've got a lot of people doing it, and I don't know if it's because of my promotion on Facebook. I mean, I promote it everywhere, so I can't gauge that. But I mean, people in general in this footprint are very aware of Frederick.com and what they can do with it and all that, in part because of all this promotion. And I've been doing it for a long time, so. And I don't do it in a way to piss them off. I mean, I'm doing it in a way like if somebody has a church or something, I'll send a message to them saying, did you know nonprofits can put their event on an events calendar for free if you're having a fundraiser or whatever? And they usually take that very positively. I don't get complaints. If I did, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Or you wouldn't tell us about the complaints?
No, I would stop doing it because I don't want to tarnish our name here in the footprint. I mean...
Yeah, I'm just picking on you.
Yeah. Only complaints I've gotten has been from competitors. I've heard from them.
Margie says, I've never thought about doing a Facebook event about a scheduled hangout on Google+. I might think about doing something about that next time. That's not a bad idea. It's interesting if you promote a Google Plus thing on Facebook, which everything is a Google Plus. Every post on my Facebook page is a Google Plus link. It's just rebroadcast there because I don't care about Facebook anymore. Nobody ever complains about it. But if you went on, if any of us did a post and we said that, hey, you should like us on Facebook, you would get trashed on Google Plus. You would be mercilessly ridiculed.
I don't know about that. Samsung does it.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
Because I've seen
the
it once.
The early adopters would be slammed, and that's the only one. That's the only people that are on Google Plus. So you have a good point.
Is that a landline?
What is that?
Excuse me 1 second, guys. Sorry.
It's okay.
A landline? What is that?
Yeah.
It's an old-fashioned corded phone. I think Craig has several of them.
Was that like those old call phones things that
you can do that kind of ring on an iPhone?
Yeah.
You can set it to old-fashioned ring.
There's a good reason to buy an iPhone right there.
Yeah. Do we have anything to talk about? Are we done?
Yeah, top of the news, apparently Holder is going to direct a couple of U.S. attorneys to look into the leaks. And of course, once they get done, he's not going to release the information.
Tell us.
Oh, I found out about the leaks. Do you want the scoop on that?
Tell us about what the leaks are for folks who don't know, and then.
Well, especially the White House leaks we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah, especially because of the G8 summit and the added security that they had. And I showed you the photos, didn't I, Dan? Maybe I should bring up one of those photos so that you can see. Keep talking a minute while I get the photo.
Which leaks?
Well, there are several leaks. There's the drones. There was one leak, and then the second leak was regarding.
Oh, the Stuxnet thing, right?
No.
There have been a number of leaks.
There's a number of leaks, yeah.
And I've got the scoop on it.
Oh yeah, the kill list. The kill list was another thing.
First, let me share the screen to refresh people's memory that this was in beautiful downtown Thurmont, where I am right now, a couple of weeks ago at the G8 summit, and they of course beefed up security big time within a 30-mile no-fly zone around Camp David. They had F-15s and everything else flying. They had beefed up security at the White House. A lot of guys, in heavy gear and so forth on the roof of the White House.
Very cool.
And walking around and so forth. And evidently there was some damage to the roof, and this caused a leak, and there was some damage to some of the plaster and a little bit of damage in one of the guest rooms in the White House. So that's how the you're talking about the water leak, right? In the White House?
No.
Oh, you're talking about like security leaks. Oh, I'm sorry. A different story.
Yeah, I don't think Holder is going to deal with the water leaks.
Different
That's
story.
a good one, though. So that was good.
Man,
I didn't think he was a comedian. I guess
that's 3 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Exactly.
Well, good for Holder.
So, I just thought it was kind of ironic. He's going to investigate.
Well, maybe it was the same guys that caused the water leaks that caused the security leaks. That's possible, too,
Theoretically, yes.
We have reached the end of the internet.
No, I actually saw that, too. The bathroom leaked in the, what was it, the House?
It was the Senate.
Yeah, the Senate.
The Senate
House and
press gallery, right?
Oh, there was a leak there, too?
I don't think Holder's investigating that. I think Roto-Rooter is.
Okay.
You people are insane.
No, but it's just I find it ironic if he's going to investigate and he's not going to release the information unless he finds out what the deal is.
You think that information will leak?
Yeah, I think so.
Women's bathroom this time.
Like the line in Casablanca. I'm shocked to see there are leaks coming out of the White House.
Well, Obama said he was offended that people were making this kind of accusation.
Yeah, I'm offended. Give me my winnings.
Velociraptor on Twitter. Some are offensive. In fact, that one's probably too offensive to read. But it's a Velociraptor. It's really funny. I was going to read one of his things, but I think I'm not. So now this is an awkward moment. Do we have any other stuff to talk about? Anybody want to suggest who's watching? Because we've got a lot. We've actually at our peak now.
To close out the show, Dan.
Dan? Are you going to do a local show down in Virginia?
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I want to use Hangouts. I'm on 4 hours sleep, so I'm a zombie right now. We printed the Warren County paper last night, and I was up till 5:30, and then I had to get up at 8:30 or whatever. Yeah, I want to do two things. I want to do a Hangout thing, but then it's difficult to get people to go on camera. Like I want on Google. When I posted the thing, the funny thing I heard for the police radio.
Yeah.
I went in there, and by default, it was set on my phone to nearby, because that's what I looked at last. And it said there was a post from 9 hours earlier, and then a day ago, and then several from 5 days ago. But basically, in Warren County, 40,000, there were only like 3 people posting on Google Plus besides me, and you had to go like. It was going back. It was in timeline, chronological order, but it was like, just.
Well, there's no doubt you're going to have to get the people on Google Plus. You're going to have to go through that whole procedure, which I've gone through many times with the pageant girls. Getting them on, signing them up on Gmail and the process, and you're just going to have to go through that process.
Now, nearby on your phone, Oleg, that only will show nearby posts from mobile, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it showed nearby based on the location you're in. Like when I was in Disneyland, it would show me all these California people writing about all kinds of stuff that nowhere near as cool as Washington people. But that's what it shows.
Mm.
Yep.
So they don't have to be posting from a mobile device, do they?
No, not at all.
So they can tell by the IP address if I'm posting here, I'm in Thurmont, right?
I think nearby on mobile is only nearby mobile posts.
No, actually, you know what? It might be. I thought I saw one of my posts. No, I guess not. No, actually, yeah. I think Dan is right. I think I'm wrong.
Because the feature's not available on desktop. It's only relevant.
Most of my posts are not there. It means that it would have to be that one. Yeah. So I think Dan is right about that.
Huh.
But still, there's a fair amount. Mostly it's check-ins. Yeah. And mostly it's check-ins. Mostly it's check-ins. Yeah. And then mostly it's check-ins.
You got an echo, Mike.
I muted him.
Epic audio fail. Ironic coming from Mike, because he's normally he is the audio man.
It looks like he's multitasking right now.
I'm trying to find any kind of topic that
You know,
will
I
keep
got
me awake.
this is probably a boring thing, but I saw a Google Street View vehicle for the very first time in Rochester yesterday. And at first, when I saw it coming up on me, I'm like, why is there a lamppost attached to the top of that car? And I take a closer look, and I'm like, oh, that's a camera. And I'm like, it's got to be a Google Street View car, right? And
Aren't they labeled right?
Well, some of them are
No,
not.
they're
Some
not.
of them. Well, this one was. I mean, this thing was plastered in decals 360 degrees around it, and it said Google over and everything. But the interesting thing is I saw that yesterday, and then my mom told me that she saw it again today. So
I guess
Did you guys see the announcement from Google Maps about new 3D maps and things like that?
Yeah.
It was very cool. Very cool.
There's a video showing that. It looks really awesome. Really amazing.
And they're using all kinds. They're using bikes. They're using even people now with walking around taking pictures of this stuff. Very cool.
This was an early vehicle. This was taken some years ago.
Yeah, they're not using Imprezas, Subaru Imprezas that have like decals like a big city bus.
Yeah.
Oleg, is Nextag coming out with 3D maps for the Nextag Maps feature?
I don't think so.
They're not doing that?
Yeah.
I guess I'll stick with Google for now until they do that.
Exactly. Maybe they can use the Apple's deal. Apple's using this open source deal. We'll see how well that goes. No, I just everybody moans, but they don't come out with their own stuff. And of course, Apple is working on iPhone 6. That's going to be the big thing. iPhone 5 is going to be nothing. iPhone 6 is going to be the big deal.
Oh wow, what do you guys think of this? This is interesting. You know, all the drama over Comcast and buying NBC because the concern about them being the pipe and then buying the content. When would they favor, NBC over other network properties? But now there's a rumor from David Carr at the New York Times. Comcast is said to be mulling a bid for B Sky B, which obviously Rupert Murdoch won't be buying anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone. And Judge Judy has just topped the daytime ratings. She doesn't take any crap. She's like Oleg on steroids.
Exactly. Except she's got some authority. I don't.
Now, how come sometimes in the Hangout, when you click, you don't get the person's name?
You should
the browser fail.
Yeah, you should. Well, when you hover, you don't have to click. You just hover.
Yeah, it's not working right now for me. I can still blue screen people.
Now you're using an older version of Internet Explorer, right, Craig?
No, it was working just a few seconds ago. It comes and goes. I think my browser's getting ready to crash, to tell you the truth.
Huh. Interesting.
So unfortunately, you might lose me.
Unfortunately, is a subjective criteria, Mr. Shep.
How much will you pay for me to make sure it crashes?
He's got a biting wit. You know who's funny like that?
Anthony, is that what the cars look like?
No, I'll post a link in the chat.
They are plastered with.
Because these are Google cars. These two.
From when?
These are pretty recent, year ago or so.
Huh.
Yeah,
well, now they're using
Google on them.
They're using one of those self-driving deals that they have.
Boy, that would save some money if they could get
just
self-driving car.
Yeah, I didn't look at
what they're doing.
That is a big story, Dan. Did you all talk about it last week? The approval of the self-driving cars in California?
Yeah, we talked about that.
I didn't know it was in Arizona, or they just approved it in California as well.
They approved it in California.
Wow.
Oh, okay. They previously did in Nevada.
It's a whole new thing they can tax.
That's what I understand, is that they approved them in California. Don't quote me on it, but that's what I heard.
I didn't know that. I remember there was a big thing about Nevada.
Well, I can officially say that Disneyland doesn't have any yet.
And supposedly there's like 6 more states lined up, ready to go almost immediately. So we could see these approved everywhere pretty quickly. This is pretty amazing how quick they're getting these approvals done.
Yeah.
From Chad Pergram, a friend of mine from Fox News Channel, he's saying Judiciary Chair Lamar Smith, who of course was the author of SOPA, along with my congressman, Bob Goodlatte, says leakers of intelligence data should face jail time.
No question there.
In Russia, they would be...
they wouldn't be...
Cam Meadows would be unleashed on them with all of his guns.
Yep. No, it's just terrible that they're doing this stuff.
What'd you think about WikiLeaks, though?
In terms of what?
Well, the Bradley Manning guy clearly broke the law. I mean, if he did, assuming he did it, right? That would be illegal. But I don't see any difference in the New York Times publishing the Pentagon Papers and WikiLeaks publishing that stuff. They're a publisher. They didn't encourage him. I think it was done anonymously anyway. I don't think they even knew who had actually sent it to them.
Ah, come on. Are you kidding me?
Well, even if they did, who cares? They're a publisher of information, right?
The difference is that major newspapers have something to lose if they take off the federal
There's no
government.
asterisk on the First Amendment, Anthony.
Well, I mean,
there's no license to enjoy your First Amendment freedoms. I mean, you are either, it shall not be infringed.
Well, that. No, I mean, if a newspaper, posts these pictures and the government doesn't want them, to be posted, then someone's going to get in trouble, whether it's behind the scenes or otherwise. If someone that's in a different country and has no ties to this country and doesn't care about this country posts these pictures, what are they going to do to them? And I mean, you can say First Amendment rights, but that doesn't mean that it actually happens. I mean, you get this big and you affect this many people and potentially affect the well-being of this many lives.
Absolutely,
that's completely different.
Yeah, I mean it's a total different deal.
I mean, whether you agree with it or otherwise, I mean it's different. I think completely different.
Well, this is definitely an epic, fast-paced Google Plus week, full of topics.
And with that, I have to run. So let's finish the show.
Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts, Oleg? Or do you want the last word, Oleg?
Yeah. Next week, I'm going to have my little video embedding, and we'll be much more on the ball. Hopefully, Google will release some cool stuff, and we'll have a lot more to talk about. Hopefully, Alan will be able to join us without the ferry problems.
And you will be able to talk about what the competitor does Monday, Apple, right?
But in terms of, yeah, my favorite topic. But in terms of, well, Dan is yawning. No, we got to finish this up right now.
What about the Galaxy S3? Did you all talk about that?
Yeah, it's a kick-butt phone, and Apple wants to stop them from selling it in Australia, I think, and other places too.
Has anybody tried one out?
I don't think they're out yet here in the States.
Leo Laporte has one.
What's the beef this time from
It's
Apple?
supposed to be a fantastic phone.
No, why does Apple want it? I mean, what's their
because it's basically it's like that iPhone doesn't hold a candle to it, basically what they're saying.
But so I mean, legally, what's their argument? What patent was infringed?
Because it looks similar to like all the other previous arguments that the stuff looks
that they're copying.
They're copying their stuff. The fact that it's twice larger and things like that, I guess, is irrelevant.
Now, does anybody know I have a iPhone on AT&T? If I buy one of these S3 phones and add it as a second phone, do they have those shared data plans out yet where I can share the data between the two phones? Does anybody know?
Yeah, I don't know. I know they were supposed to announce these shared data plans, but I don't know if it's
that's what I want to get. When they have that, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be just a killer phone. I mean, I have the S2, which is a very nice phone, but this is supposed to be just
And when they allow you to get Hangouts on air on them, that's when I'll lock and load on one.
Eventually, yeah.
Margie asked a question related to this. Sprint to offer prepaid iPhone with cheaper data plans. Did you already bring up anything? I don't think it's Sprint. I think, isn't it their...
It's Virgin and Cricket.
It's a reseller of... Sprint has their own thing that they own. I forget what it's called, Boost or some... Boost sucks, though.
And they have one other, actually, too. They have two.
Yeah, one of my salespeople has an Android phone, and she pays $50 a month for everything. And it looks a lot like my $120 a month thing. She's on... it's a prepaid thing. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
But, and then... M. DeRicha says it's Arizona, Nevada, California, New Mexico, and I think Texas. I didn't know it was, I guess you're saying the driverless cars are approved in all those states. I didn't know that. One of the arguments about from Apple is that Samsung is violating the Siri patent. Don't they have a knockoff
yeah,
Siri
Leo was
type
demonstrating
thing?
it. It worked pretty, it sounded pretty good. He was demonstrating it.
You know, Siri's a male voice in Europe, isn't it?
Well, the one he was doing was a female voice.
Was it Android?
Yeah, he has the S3. He was doing it on the S3.
Was it SkyV? They have a program an app called SkyV that's kind of like Siri, but not quite as well. But it's kind of neat.
Well, this is evidently built into the phone. I don't know if it's Samsung or what it is, but it's part of the phone, and he says it was very much Siri-like and very good, and he says it does more than Siri.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
the rumor is that when they come out with iOS 6, that they're going to increase the capabilities of Siri. So, we'll know more maybe next week.
Yeah, but Google is also coming out with their own, which was called Magellan. Now it's going to be called something, I think, Communicator or something. And that's supposed to be much better than Siri, from what they described. So it's from Project X.
When is that coming out?
Well, they didn't announce. They just said that they're working on it, and it's one of the, from the same folks that did Google Glass and Google X, basically, people. So it should be pretty cool.
Oleg has to roll. We appreciate you joining us.
Everybody have a good weekend. Dan, grab me later if you want to talk about this stuff.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you, Oleg. Okay, any final thoughts on this wonderful Google Plus week? Wesley, did you have a good week?
Yeah, it was fairly well. It was really busy. Everything was good, though. Nothing too exciting. How about yours?
It was busy as usual. Mike, how about you? Did you have a good week? Any interesting stuff going on?
Oh, always interesting things going on in the internet broadcasting side of things.
You were on a show.
Yeah,
I was watching that. What? Tell us. Speak. It was the part of the International Association of Internet Broadcasters, right?
Yeah, I was interviewed by Andrew Zarian at it's ibroadcastnetwork.org. It's a great new association for internet broadcasters, not just podcasters, but people who are doing live broadcasting, whether it's Google Hangouts, whether it is streaming through Justin or however you would do it. And I recommend it. It's ibroadcastnetwork.org. All the good domain names seem to be disappearing. It's called the IAIB, and Andrew Zarian interviewed me on that. First part of it's a bunch of personal stuff. I don't know why he was interested in all that, but once we got past that, we got into some of the technical stuff about audio. So that might be of use to some people who are interested in that sort of thing.
Is it? Do they charge to join?
No.
Okay, I guess they'll build up a very great niche audience that will be buying a lot of products. It's a really smart idea. So they'll be able to finance it through advertising.
Yeah, I mean, one of the co-creators of it has a similar organization for something else. I forget what it is, for doctors or something like that, and it's very successful.
Well, guys who are internet broadcasters who are swapping, it's a website that's going to swap tips. Like, you're going to suggest different microphones, and I'm going to suggest different cameras or what have you. It'd be a very attractive audience for microphone and camera and sound mixer and manufacturers of all sorts of products.
Yeah, the only problem is that most people can get away with a $52 microphone, so I don't know how much use that'll be. But
yeah. Craig, how was your week? Good.
And we got some great events I'll be covering this weekend, so a lot of fun stuff all the time.
Awesome. I appreciate your little wisecracks, Craig, and your constant digging on my profession.
Just stating the facts, Dan.
Your sense of humor is, I love it, and it reminds me of Mike Downs, the British guy. He's got a dry wit.
I'm like the guys on Dragnet. Remember that show?
Yeah.
Just the facts, ma'am.
And Rich is saying that in those states it was just is proposed there to have driverless cars in some of these states that he was mentioning that I repeated earlier, and then he's saying that we should involve Bob Heil with that. Yeah, I'd love to have him on the show. He has a deal with Leo, and these mics, they're really good. I've never used one. I've never used I guess it's the PR40.
Yeah.
How do you compare, Mike? I know the cancellation's fantastic, and that's the reason that Leo initially was excited about them, because you can aim that sucker at you, and you could have someone playing the drums behind the mic, and it would be really low volume compared to in front of the mic. So that's what Leo uses, and all the Twit folks use. The noise cancellation is great, it's great for Hangouts, because that's a big problem with a lot of these folks. Like Sarik has the kids running around. It's not adjustable, right? So it's only picking up what's it picking up?
Straight in front of it.
Okay, so I saw Leo did a test where he talked, and then he spun it around, and the volume, it was almost like he wasn't saying anything, and then as soon as he brought it back, it was.
Yeah, it's not as directional as he would make it out to be, because he also has gating on his. But I mean, this is the proper way to talk into it, directly into it. The way I try to tell people is, you look at it as if it were a flashlight, and you want the flashlight shining the light straight down your throat. That's the proper way to talk into the microphone. But you've also seen this microphone too.
That's Electro Voice EV
RE20.
RE20,
which is the largest selling microphone in the world for broadcasters. But for podcasting and internet broadcasting, they're both overkill.
Are you familiar with mine, the KSM32 from Shure?
Sure.
How would you compare what I have and that RE20? They're all, but well, I guess the Heil's the cheaper of the three. I think the RE20 is about a $500 mic, right?
No, you can get them $400. You can shop around. And the PR40 is about $325, I think.
So they're all similar. They're all higher end. They're not an SM58.
These are dynamic mics. You've got a condenser mic. This is an absolute gross generalization, but my generalization is that these dynamic mics are for broadcasting and condenser mics are for recording. Now, the reason that's a gross generalization is because a lot of dynamic mics are used in recording and a lot of condenser mics are used in broadcasting, so that's why it's a gross generalization. But if you're going to use a condenser mic, you'd better have some really good room acoustics, because they are sensitive, they're designed to be that way, and they work real well for that application.
So if you're in a studio and it's quiet, you know, that kind of thing, then, like in my case, I mean, I cut the all the vents off. Like Jason Salas told us in Guam, they keep the studio because they're using condenser lavaliers, right? And he said that they keep the studio like it seems like 45 degrees, because once they start the show, the local news, they cut every vent in the room off, and the lights come on, and the temperature rises throughout the show until where it's pretty hot by the end. So they have to keep it like a walk-in fridge in the beginning. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with my mic.
That's why they're all going out of business, is attention to all those details is going to bury them.
What?
Yeah, they can't afford to do all that stuff, not with the onslaught of all the amateurs out there that aren't going to care about all those things, right?
Local TV news is going to go out of business?
Sure they will. Sure. Yeah, they won't be able to. There won't be enough viewers to support it. That's too much overhead.
It is expensive.
They're going to have to figure out a way to do it at much, much lower cost. Something like you're doing right now, for example.
What I'm thinking about doing, and I'll tell you an exact idea. I'm thinking about hiring a local TV reporter, doing a rig, a camera, wireless, mic, whatever they need, electronic. They call it ENG, right? Electronic news gathering setup, just like a TV person would do, and cover some stuff and come up with a weekly show, or not necessarily weekly. Just say, I'll guarantee you 10,000 views, and I need 4 sponsors for $100 or whatever it is. And then I'll just do it, and I'll let the damn thing sit on YouTube until it gets 10,000 views before I do another one. Or I'll just promote it, because you can get views for about a penny or two on YouTube. But I want local views that will benefit the advertisers. So I just leave the thing up there until it gets the views. And advertise it locally until it does. And just figure out what am I going to have to spend to get the clicks. And then I got to generate more revenue than that. Like, what does it cost me to get 10,000 clicks that are regional? What's that cost? And that is a cost just like the reporter and the equipment, right? Although once you get the equipment, there's no ongoing expense. It's just mainly labor and advertising initially, and then as you get an audience, that helps.
But the money's in having the network to distribute it. So if you've got the local site that's got all the eyeballs and all the traffic, and you can distribute this programming right in that site, so everybody comes to that site to watch it.
If it's good, though, really, Facebook is amazing for that. It really is. For that kind of stuff. If you have a good video, I had a video when in Lynchburg, Virginia, the Blue Angels got in trouble. The lead guy, they flew too low, and he resigned like a couple days later. I was in the plane, in the C-130 or whatever, at the beginning of the show, and I have a video of it, and it just went completely viral because it was in the news that day. Just coincidentally, I was in the plane. So when they screwed up right after I was done with that C-130, then the other Blue Angels did their thing, and the guy got canned. It was national news. So, but that was mainly spread on Facebook. It was a lot from Google News as well, but mainly from Facebook shares. I don't know. I was just thinking I want to do like some local. It's because we have all the contacts and everything. I just need someone who's pretty and a articulate, smart person who can edit video and send them out and do like maybe a weekly. Not 60 minutes.
Yeah, but that's 10 years ago technology. Don't do the 10 years ago stuff. Do the stuff now. Do the Hangout like you're doing right now, where you have very low cost, where everybody just comes in with their own webcam. They're paying for their own internet, their own camera. You're using them for free, basically, in the most cases. You're not paying us anything, right? And create a show like that, and do a whole series of shows like that, and put them right on the homepage of your local website, and let people all go there to watch it. And then hopefully they will use the services and so forth that you're advertising on that site. The plumber, the guy to do their lawn, whatever.
I don't think they're the same thing. I think this week...
Not the same thing, but the point is that what you were talking about previously, the 10-year-old model, is what everybody and their uncle is doing, and none of them can monetize it.
Don't you think there's value in like interviewing, like visiting a store, like doing a non-dated, non-time perishable, visiting the new restaurant and getting some video and interviewing the guy in the restaurant and showing people what it's about and what his new take is? Or have the guy
come in live into the Hangout with his laptop right there, or maybe his mobile device, and have him walk around and give you a tour of it and so on and so forth, and do it all in the Hangout. Very low cost.
So 60 Minutes is a useless program. They should just hang out and talk about stuff instead of actually going and getting the story.
Well, I mean, it's all going to go away. Yeah, that's the old way of doing things, and it's very expensive.
At some point, someone has to create the content. Someone has to go and cover the stories, and that's the business I'm in. I'm not averse to new technology, as witnessed by the fact that I do these shows all the time. But be dismissive of the notion, and then I'll go to Mike. But to be dismissive, we argue about this all the time. To be dismissive of original news gathering is just you're too smart for that.
It's how you gather it, Mike.
Well, my comment is, and I'm agreeing with Dan, I think that it's two different approaches. One is that if people are willing to come to you, a Google Hangout is a great way to go. But whenever you've got to go out and get the news, that's whenever Dan's approach, I think, is going to be hard to replace.
And I don't know if I've accurately described it. I'm talking like when the building's on fire, you go get the video of the building on fire. And then
why can't the guy that's there with the Android phone shooting the video and everything, why can't he jump in your Hangout and give you that live coverage right then and there, which you're streaming right on your channel on your homepage?
Can and should, but you can't depend on it.
You can if you get a big enough brand in that footprint where everybody knows you and everybody wants to be on your show. Just like this show is popular. Anytime you send somebody an invite to get on this show, they're going to want to get on there. If they know you got a bunch of viewers and so forth, and you go ahead and let that guy plug his uncle's dry cleaning business or whatever at the end of his live stream of the thing. Who cares?
I hear what you're saying, and we do that. Like, for example, when Skyline Drive was on fire at Shenandoah National Park, there were these big flames everywhere. It was big news. It was one of the busiest days we've ever had on the web and I was actually in Lynchburg with my paper down there when it happened, and our viewers were sending us stuff and posting stuff on YouTube and emailing me and saying it, and I was posting links to that on the web, posting the YouTube player and saying, like, thanks so much for this person. Channel 4 or 9 or whatever in DC called me and was like, "Oh my God, can we borrow these pictures?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'll check with the person because they're not mine." You know, I was just coordinating the traffic, so it was a total iReport type thing. So then I said, I called the person or emailed them and said, "Listen, can WUSA or whatever it was use these pictures and we'll get them to credit you?" And they were like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited." I was like, "Okay, awesome." So then they did it. And then they credited the newspaper and the person, which I would have just been happy if they credited the person. But yeah, so it's a mixture of that. But there's no substitute for a trained reporter covering a thing and giving you a well-written, well-narrated piece.
Quick question. If the guy's on the scene with his phone and he's streaming you the video, you're basically aggregating. You're commenting on it as it's coming in and so forth. You're the anchor guy that's handling this information, right? Now, who owns that information? If it's coming through the Hangout and you're broadcasting it on air and you're recording it on your YouTube channel, who owns that content? Do we know?
If someone were mobile,
somebody's in the Hangout at the scene of the fire. That we're assuming that they bring Hangout on air to mobile devices.
Okay. Assuming there's a mobile thing, yeah.
So he's there. He's covering the event. You're asking him questions. He's answering the questions. He's basically reporting. He's your eyes and ears and feet.
He's like a CNN reporter giving you stuff.
You're using his feet, his camera. You're doing the reporting, really. You might ask him a question. Well, what's that over there we're seeing in the camera? But basically, he's your remote camera. Who owns that content?
I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good question. I think it's assumed that the participants in this Hangout, for example, know they're on a show that's being broadcast and recorded. I don't know what I don't know what.
Well, he's going to have to opt in also once they make that available.
Correct.
I'm sure there'll be a thing he'll have to opt in also.
I think it's
assumed. You have to look at those terms.
Yeah, it's assumed that the content is owned by whoever owns the YouTube channel where it's recorded.
Right, because CNN owns the eyewitness.
So my point is, the point I'm making is, assuming you own all that content, right? Then why not use all of these people? Why not let them burn their gasoline and burn their time and use their equipment and so on and so forth to give you all this report? And maybe you give them a little something. Maybe you give them a coupon to the restaurant to take his wife to dinner or something. If you have like the story of the week or something where you reward somebody by giving him a coupon to go to the restaurant and take his wife out to dinner. My gosh, people would be clamoring.
Yeah, but see, there's a place for that. But there's also a place for talented reporting and writing. When Steve Croft does a 60 Minutes piece, that is more interesting to me than some crap that someone throws up on Facebook. Because I like Steve Croft's take on it, and I know it's got some credibility. It's going to be really smart writing and editing and really well done, right? And there's value to that. There is a place for CNN iReport. There's a place for aggregators. But there's also a place people like to get the take from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post, which is sadly diminishing faster than the previous two I mentioned.
But most people aren't willing to pay for that stuff is the problem, and that's where that's the rub.
I don't want them to pay for it. I just want to get.
They're going to have to pay for it one way or another.
I think
they can't support it.
You sell ads.
So that the advertisers have to pay for it.
Correct.
And like I say, there fewer and fewer of them are willing to do that.
I mean, if it works, if it delivers, I'm going to hopefully prove you wrong. I'll admit it if you're right and I'm wrong.
I think you're going to do a hybrid of what I'm talking about. I think you're going to.
I'll do a mixture of both, but I want to get some. I'm thinking some snippets. Like, what about if you do, when a new restaurant opens, you send someone with the camera and they interview the person, they put together a 2 or 3 minute little piece, and you throw it up on the web. But it's not just a hangout. You're actually showing the pizzeria. I mean, there's a big difference.
What about if they go there and they have dinner? They set up the camera. They're in the hangout. They're having dinner in the hangout at the restaurant. The hangout's an hour long, and they keep periodically. You cut to them. They're getting the second course or whatever. Oh, how's that? Can you give us a close up of that? That looks really good. And they put it on there, right? You see what I'm saying? Very low cost. Very efficient. That's all I'm saying, is if you can do it and keep your costs very low then I think you survive. I think it's going to be the survival of the fittest in this new environment. Just my opinion. We'll see. Time will tell.
A rare Craig Shipp opinion. And a rare moment of disagreement between... I still think there's a market for both, Craig. I think there's still a demand for advertisers they want to buy quality content. They want to be associated with known brands. They want to...
all I'm saying is there's going to be fewer and fewer of them. That's all I'm saying, that's a declining model, and that it's the here comes everybody environment where we're going to be. But there's going to be a ton of people, not broadcasting, narrowcasting, you know.
They're just done. I hear what you're saying, but we'll have to a hybrid of some sorts. But I still think there's a demand for tightly written, produced, quality, better content than you see in a typical Hangout. I rarely watch Hangouts. I watch a few, but I don't regularly watch them because there's normally so much BS to get to the content. I want the content. I'm ADD. I want, tell me, and when I watch stuff on Netflix, it's tightly written stuff, and there's a value in that. There's value in Hangouts as well, but I think this one is pretty good that we do.
But Dan, aren't you consuming less of that tightly written content that you're talking about? If you were to be honest, in your
to a degree, because I'm spending more time producing my own. But I love 60 Minutes. I love McLaughlin Group. I love some Netflix shows. I'm into the Tutors.
So
Henry
you are
VIII
spending. So you'll admit that you're spending less time doing it. And I don't care what reason.
Less time watching the local news. I haven't watched a local newscast, a 30-minute local newscast, maybe 3 times in the last year. I get all my stuff from the internet, but a lot of that internet content is an interesting video that originated in a newscast. So I'm watching snippets of that. I was watching Rachel Maddow talk about something from her MSNBC show. I haven't watched her MSNBC show in a long time, but there was a really interesting
So be careful, Dan, because you're going to prove my point.
No, I'm proving my point. I'm not trying to do a 30-minute show. I'm trying to do on YouTube some good quality local content. Obviously, I want to do a Hangout show as well, but I still think you can spend $30 to $50 to have someone go and cover and produce and edit something, and you can get more than that in advertising revenue from it. Especially when you have a local sales staff and existing, hundreds and hundreds of local advertisers who are begging us to come up with some kind of way for them to advertise on the internet. But a Hangout show is
but it's not exactly.
Go ahead.
It's not like when we're talking of local video that a lot of the local commercials are really all that high quality. They're well known as being a joke.
Here at Ed's Used Cars. We're smashing prices. Yeah.
Well, time will tell, Dan. The jury's out, and we will see what happens.
I'm going to prove you wrong, punk. We're actually the good friends, but he's always wrong, and I'm always right. Abracadabra says bloggers and pedestrians will never replace professional journalists because the readers and viewers still want in-depth analysis. Thank you.
They want it, but they won't pay for it.
Well, I don't charge them. Everything's free with me.
No, Dan,
the advertisers will pay for it if they watch.
No, they won't pay for it.
You who
look at how much
make 6 figures from local advertisers.
There's going to be too many things for them to pay for. There's going to be too many opportunities. They're going to be so pulled in every direction they won't know which way to turn, and they'll just say no to everything.
I'm not sure that's why they're not going to be spending their money. I think there's, as usual, a race to the bottom.
Alan, you can bring up any topic because all we've talked about is the Wall Street Journal thing and a bunch of little BS stuff because basically it was a Anthony called
because I wasn't here. I mean, let me take this opportunity to contrast with last week. Last week may have been a slow motion train wreck, but it was an exciting slow motion train wreck.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. Yeah.
And we'll note that I was here and Oleg was not. Now this week it was slow, it was dull, It was a sleeper show.
Oh, man,
And
what
we'll
am
note
I
that
hear
I
about
was not
this
here,
next
but
week?
Oleg was.
Yeah, but the problem is, Alan, that I was here. So
Make sure you guys jot down the time of that comment and send it to Oleg so we can have a
You were
nice
here both times, Craig.
epic fight
No,
tomorrow.
I wasn't here. I wasn't here
You were
last,
here last week?
This is the first Google Plus week I've been on.
Really?
Yep. I've been on some of his other shows, but not Google Plus.
I don't think that's accurate, Eric.
Anyway,
Craig. You've been on.
The point I wanted to make, that before I was cut off by the ferry earlier, was we were making a lot of comparisons to Google Plus as a utility and a monopoly, and I don't think that's a really accurate description. I think it's more accurate to compare. I'm sorry, Google. I think it's more accurate to compare Google to something like NBC, and as such, it's not really a monopoly because there are other networks, but for a while, NBC really was pretty close to a monopoly, and even now, NBC still maintains a massive amount of viewership and followership. But the other interesting thing is NBC advertises its own shows and advertises its own products, and nobody has a problem with NBC doing that. On the other hand, you'd be awfully surprised if NBC started advertising an ABC show, but I'm not sure that they wouldn't. I mean, if ABC paid them enough, maybe they would. I don't know.
The only problem with your comparison is that NBC doesn't have according to this, he's talking about 82% of the global search market and 98% of if those numbers are correct, I mean, NBC has nowhere near that percentage.
But it used to.
It may have, but I still think that this guy Jeffrey Katz is just making the point that as far as search goes, everybody goes to Google and searches, and he doesn't think they should be allowed to load the dice, and that's where I don't agree. It's Google's business. If they want to start screwing up the search results by bringing people up to the top that shouldn't be there because they're getting a little bit of money from them or whatever, then the users are going to start getting turned off and they're going to start going somewhere else, and it's going to be suicide. So I don't think Google's going to do that, and I don't think they do that.
I think let me put it this way. I think a foolish Google might do that. We have certainly seen in the past other companies do very, very stupid things in the belief that it is to their short-term benefit.
Yeah.
Now, but I don't think that the government or anybody else should get in the way of them doing stupid things. I think it is Google's self-interest, and I think you said this as well, to not fudge the search results.
That's right, and if they start fudging them and they start losing market share, then in effect they're regulating themselves, right? They're killing their own monopoly. So everybody should then be happy.
I think the question, though, in every case, is why did people move away from Alta Vista and move away from Yahoo and to Google?
Probably because Google looked better.
Well, I mean, at the time it was arguable that it was
looked better. It looked better, that clean interface and all that, and all the techies started getting behind it and pushing it and so on, and it just is a phenomenon, and it doesn't mean that anybody can duplicate that happening again. You know what I mean? I mean, so who cares why it happened? It happened.
Well, I think it's important to know why it happened, to understand how it can unhappen, if it can unhappen.
I think it can unhappen by businesses getting smart and promoting their own brands and driving people direct to their website instead of worrying about all this SEO and all this other crap.
Well, there I will agree with you 200%.
Saying, come to my website. I promote CraigShip.com. I don't promote go to the web and search Craig Ship.
Well, I would point out that at the moment you're promoting Twitter.
And PageantLive.com. Yeah. But I promote my own brands, right? So I happen to own PageantLive.com, so I'm promoting that. But I'm not going to say go to Google and search Pageant Live.
No, and here this actually gets to something that I wanted to get into with you, before. This gets into part of why I think that vanity pages are a bad idea. I think they're a bad idea for Google Plus, and I think they're a bad idea for companies themselves.
Because companies shouldn't do that. Shouldn't say, go find me at facebook.com/whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, see, my take on it is I want all of the above. I want my own brand and promote the hell out of that. And then just in case somebody types in facebook.com/ and my brand, I want it to come up. You know,
well, but
I
here's the
wouldn't
thing.
promote that.
But I don't think that people should even think of it that way. People should be narrowly focused. They should be focused on your website.
Craig, you're making my point, buddy. What I want to do, like, okay, we have the newspapers, and we have great content in the newspaper. We're the #1 paper in one market. We're #2 in the other 2 markets, and growing in the other 2 markets. And so, just like what you do, you'll go out to an event that you know that you're going to have a video of 1 million people, and you're going to have your jacket with your big logo on it, and all those parents are going to go to your website to see the video of little Johnny or little Lucy, and you're going to get traffic from that. And that's great. That's a smart business model. And but at the same time, what I'm thinking, let me give you some specific numbers here. During the show tonight, I didn't go to blog posts. I went to the original Wall Street Journal op-ed by this moron from Nextag, and then we talked about this other thing from Talking Points Memo, and then we went to the Google, the public policy blog, where they just did a complete annihilation of this guy's idiotic, sniveling remarks that were just nonsensical and borderline defamation and lies. And then I went to Danny Sullivan at Search Engine Land, because all of those things are trusted sources that have editing and vetting, and they try to put out a compelling product, as we do in the newspaper. So
Yep.
there is a market for aggregation, like what you do. You are doing exactly what I'm talking about doing. You're actually the argument for this. And but let me give you some specific numbers to carry my point, and then you can debate me.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I get some TV reporter, 22-year-old, right out of college, and then I you know, $10 an hour or something. It's an entry-level job. You're going to have a high turnover. They're going to stay for a year, build up their demo tape, and then leave for a small market TV station where they're going to make $18,000 a year. Okay, so I'm going to have this person go and do a review of a restaurant, or cover the parade, or some kind of local stuff, whatever it is, right? Same stuff you would cover. And then I've got $30 in it, 3 hours. They shot it, they edited it for 2 hours. I got maybe I could pay them a flat rate, $40, $50, whatever. So I've invested $50, and I have a nice edited piece by somebody with a 4-year degree in communications, and can do a nice news package. And it's a 2 or 3 minute thing. It's on the web. It's not dated, right? This restaurant's going to be around for years. When people do Google searches or go to our newspaper website or whatever website we do, we're probably going to do WCRTV.com, which is the site I have, and we're going to market it just like a TV station. We're going to call it WCR. It's going to, WCR TV, Front Royal. It's going to look just like a TV station with nice graphics and moving crap and all that stuff. I'm going to have After Effects people do it. So then I go to advertisers, and just like what you do with your sites, I can say, listen, to the auto dealer or the whoever, the bed and breakfast, whatever, do you want to buy an ad that's actually in the YouTube thing? It's a 30-second thing in the beginning and the end of the video, and it'll be on there forever with your ad, and it'll cost you $150, and we'll guarantee
it was $100 a while ago, Dan.
Whatever it is, or maybe I could sell 2.
Dan,
maybe I could sell 100 and then 50.
I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not saying that's a bad idea.
Yes, you did.
That's a far cry from that. No. All I'm saying is this: do whatever you do, you've got to do it extremely efficiently. What you were talking about is pretty efficient. If you can do it even more efficiently, then all the better. All I'm saying is it's a question of efficiency, because these high overhead operations are the ones that are going to be challenged.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to build a TV station.
What you're describing is fairly low overhead, and especially creating the content that's not as dated, which is what I do all the time, and we talked about that. I agree with all of that.
Now, for a news
All
show
I'm
that is
saying-
time perishable, a Hangout's a great option, like Google Plus Week. This costs me, you know, 100. I mean, I don't know, between everything, it's not that much money, but it's, you know, it's money. Between, like, you know, I buy Google AdWords to promote it, and it's our time, right? But I don't even think like this thing typically every once in a while I'll click the monetization thing on, and I think that it's monetized on the produced version, but it's pennies I get. It's not worth.
Exactly.
I lose money.
Exactly.
I'm subsidizing 10 or 20% of my cost. I mean, it's a loser.
The
I do it for
only-
fun,
The
so I
only
can
part
argue with
that
you.
I would challenge you on is I wouldn't put the ads in the YouTube video, and this is the way I've been doing it for years. What I would do is drive them to the website with that. In other words, I put the video up of the Gettysburg Parade, and in the video it says, go to choosepa.com keyword parade or whatever, right? So I use keywords and I drive them to the site so they go there to get more information. Once they go there to get more information, then I'm happy because my sponsors are happy and they're all going to pay me money. And so I use the content, what I call rich content, like you're talking about, to get up on the web and get as many people to watch it as possible and drive them to the website with it. If I put a big pre-roll in front of that and a big pre-roll at the end and all that, not as many people are going to watch it. Not as many people are going to go to the website. This is my opinion. Not as many people are going to go to the website. And so I don't need to do it that way. I want to promote my strong brand. And that's all I care about. And so when I went down to the reenactment down in Prince William County and did that video that's got like 35,000 views already, I put on there princewilliamcounty.com keyword, 150th Manassas or whatever my keyword was that I assigned to that, right? And boom, everybody that watches that video, and there's two versions of it up there. There's one with the old music, and because they complained about the other one had some newer music in it, so I put two versions up. And everybody, I say for photos, for many photos, go to princewilliamcounty.com keyword boom. And they know they can go there and look at all the Civil War photos and download them and all of that stuff. And so I'd rather keep the content pure and pretty much commercial free and drive them to the site and have the commercial content there. So that's the only difference.
Okay, what about this? Let's say my cost for a 3-minute video or 5-minute, whatever it is, a little in-depth piece about some event or whatever. It might be a longer one if it's a parade or a beauty pageant like you're doing. I could go in the newspaper. I could say, you get a package. We'll give you a 4-inch square ad that's worth $50. That'll reach 20,000 people, and then you'll be on a prominent mention in the video, Craig. We'll say, this is brought to you by the Smithtown ferry service or the bed and breakfast, serving quality meals and excellent entertainment for 70 years. Visit them at smithtownbnb.com, and then we go into it, something like that. And so you're getting a package. They're paying $100 instead of getting that just $50 for that ad. They're paying maybe $150, and they're getting a prominent mention in the beginning and the end of the video, and they're getting an ad in the paper. And so they're going to reach like 30,000 people, all local, and some people searching for that town, looking for stuff. Like, I'm sure you get a lot of traffic from the search engines. People looking to move to Frederick.
The other thing you can do, and I put the link in the chat there, is like I have a description in here. I have a link to princewilliamcounty.com right in the description. You could even mention them right in the description with a hot link to their website too. And then I also take this video and I embed it in an article in the website, princewilliamcounty.com, and you could mention them in the article. You could have brought to you by so on and so forth. So you don't necessarily have to put it right in the video. I just have an issue with putting it right in the video. I like to keep the video pure. The only thing in the video is my brand and driving them to the site for more information. In other words, I have my cues in there. Go to princewilliamcounty.com, keyword whatever, for photos or whatever. And so it makes it look like almost like it's a documentary. People don't even know that they're being hoodooed into going to a site that's a commercial site.
The thing,
and they probably don't even care because all they want to do is see the video, and then when they go, I think they're feeling good about themselves, and they go there and they see a few ads. Hey, okay, this thing's ad supported. Okay, I'll buy something. I'll buy a car from that Chevy dealer.
My last point on this, and then I think Alan has something he wants to show us. My last point on this, Craig, is this: that in a little town, if you're Leo Laporte and you're talking about stuff with a worldwide audience, then you can attract enough viewers to generate the $6 to $8 million a year he generates, and build a fancy studio and deliver an increasingly more professional looking product. And that's fantastic. He went from an audio only podcast to the cottage at his desk, which was small, and it worked though. It was great content, and now he's got, what looks like screensavers, a great studio, multiple studio setup. So it's fantastic. It's great, and we've all learned so much watching him. And he's been very giving with his wiki sites, teaching all of us, listing exactly all the equipment he uses and updating that.
Absolutely.
It's been wonderful. It's, God bless him. He is the Henry Ford of internet broadcasting. He showed us how to do it on a mass scale and how to do it efficiently.
But the problem is very few people can do it like that, and he may even be disintermediated and have to go away in a few years, because there are going to be people that are going to learn how to do it much more efficiently than him, because he's increased his overhead. See, he's going to fall into that same trap where his overhead gets real high and then he can't support that.
He's okay because he's got the radio show that he lives off of, and the thing's more
well,
than self-supporting.
By then he will have made plenty of money anyway. So
right, so he's just like Warren Buffett buying a paper. He can swing it. It's 0.1% of his net worth. Who cares? And it's his love. But my point was that in a little town, if you're Leo and you're talking about a niche, if basically you're doing the best job talking about something and there's a big interest in it, but it's niche still, just like Google Plus Week. I think we do the best show on Google Plus, and but it's a niche audience. It'll never have the audience that Leo does talking about generic tech stuff, but we do it well. And
I wouldn't use the term never. If Google Plus ever takes off, this could be huge.
Well, we're definitely an early adopter. I mean, we're on almost our first anniversary, so for the show. But anyway. And the problem is, in little towns, it's very difficult with an audience of a few thousand. There are counties in Virginia with a population of 5,000 people. No TV station is regularly covering them. And here in Warren County, we've got about 35,000, 40,000 people, including the town of Front Royal. And we have about 20,000 readers for every issue of our paper. They rip it out of our hands when we deliver it. And it's the best in-depth coverage of the town and the county, but you cannot have a TV station that has a potential audience of 20,000 people because it's too much overhead, like you said. But you can. What if you could make so these little towns don't get good quality, well-written, well-produced little packages about their town that often? And if we can figure out a way to do that at a cost of $50 or less, and generate $150 in revenue and produce a few of them, then you're providing a public service and making money because you're delivering good quality, well-written, well-edited pieces that are interesting and informative and help the community and help, tourists or prospective new residents learn more about the community. It's a win-win. And so that's what I want to try to do.
Well, the beauty is with the new equipment that's coming out now and the cameras you can get, the video cameras and stuff, I mean, you can really do pretty good stuff at very low cost. I mean, you could even set up a 2-camera shoot and maybe a Zoom, audio recorder and make a pretty good recording in the field, pretty good video, 2 cameras and so forth that looks fairly impressive very inexpensively. So that's the advantage that you have is you can do that, and I think you should do that. But all I'm saying is do it as low cost and as efficiently as possible. And if you can get people to do it for free or for some kind of a contest where each week you give out $200 to the best video, and let's say 10 people submit videos, now they cost you $20 a piece instead of 50. So all I'm saying is think outside the box a little bit, use these citizens that you have out there, let them have some fun making some videos and so forth, have some seminars on how you teach them how to do it and so forth. They bought a nice Sony, NEX7. Okay, here's how you do it, and you start getting more people involved, and then they help you virally market it, and then it's
wait. You just described YouTube there.
That's right, but what he's doing is he's marshaling local people to do this content. So there probably aren't that many YouTubers in Front Royal. If there are, he should use that content anyway. Grab that now and use it anyway, because it's available to him free anyhow.
That's smart. You could say all submissions, we have a right. We don't own it. And I wanted to clarify what you said, like who owns that shot if of the guy at the burning building holding the phone streaming it. I don't own that. I have a right to distribute it. I have a right to record it and have it on my YouTube channel. But he could record it himself and use it himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the photographer probably owns it, right? Unless you have a contract with him.
Well, I'm saying like right now, you could be recording your appearance, and I don't own that. I have a right to host on my YouTube channel this show with your appearance on it, right? But you could be recording it yourself, and I wouldn't own that. And you'd have. I don't own the copyright on it. I own the copyright on Google Plus Week, the version that I recorded, because I created that.
A comment on it.
Go ahead,
well,
Mike.
I mean, you're covering about 100 issues with about two broad brushes. You'd have to break it down to more detail than most people are interested in doing. But just remember, with the copyright, the creator of the content owns that content absent a contract to the contrary. So if someone's sitting there taking a picture of a burning building with their iPhone to be transmitted over Google Plus Week, then that person owns that content and is consenting to its use by Google Plus Week. Now, what is the extent of that permission? That's debatable. That being said, if that person works for Dan as a W-2 employee, then Dan owns that content.
That's work for hire, right? That's a different thing. But
if they opt in, when they come into the Hangout, they opt into the terms of service, then those terms of service are going to dictate probably who owns that content.
Yes, so long as the person acquiesces to those terms of service, but that brings up another issue. When we say Dan owns it, that's subject to the terms of service that Google Plus has him agree to when he broadcasts it over the air.
That's right. Exactly.
It's not a simple question. There's no quick answer here.
It's probably going to come down to the Hangout terms of service.
Well, I think the idea is like under Creative Commons licenses, the idea is to try to get more content out instead of less, and unless you have something like Lady Gaga getting photographed stabbing, I don't know, Steve Croft or somebody, I don't think people are going to care so much about the video and about the ownership of it whenever it's all produced for the purpose of distributing it on a mass media type basis.
Let me ask you a question, you never know. Mike, because you're an attorney, for folks who don't know. Right now, we're having a conversation. It's basically talking heads, and everyone understands this is being broadcast and recorded. Now, as I said, this show does not earn a profit. It loses money. We do it as a labor of love. All of us are volunteers. But so it's understood that it's being recorded and that I own the rights to Google Plus Week on my YouTube channel, and I can monetize it, and I do, and I get pennies. I mean, I get a $100 check every 8 months or something. It's nothing, and I spend vastly more than that doing it. But let's say, so you understand, it's not a big deal because really the content is the verbal communication that each of you provide in this package that is Google Plus Week, and that's what people watch. So it's kind of understood. You're a panelist. It's a show, blah, blah, blah. What if Barack Obama was going to a fundraiser in your neighborhood, accidentally knocked on your door, came in, was in your shot, right, and then slipped and fell, and it became an international thing, big news story. This is obviously very hypothetical. And I had the only video of it because you're not locally recording this. I have a recording of it. And then I took that scene and sold it to Reuters for $10,000. Now, in that scenario, I made the only recording. So do I own it even though it was at your house? I mean, could you go after me?
Well,
Mike was the cameraman. He owns it.
No, who, and that's what the part I missed. Is this me broadcasting it live to you?
Right now, if behind you Barack Obama suddenly appeared, accidentally went to your
I'm
house.
streaming it. You're saying
you're
I'm
streaming
Yeah,
it.
and there was light back there so we could see it. There's
Right.
no light back there now.
Well, actually, I don't think the question is quite as straightforward as you might think it is, because the only way an ethereal recording is protected by copyright is if it is being contemporaneously recorded. What that means is that the broadcast on a television station is being recorded simultaneously, other it's ethereal, which means it's come and gone. How are you going to prove it? How are you going to say? What's not said is, to my knowledge, and again, these are thread in the eye of a needle questions. And so if you say, is this protected content, it's being recorded by Dan, I don't know if I have to be the one recording it or whether it suffices that Dan is recording it. What I will caution you, though, is that the law is very, very slow to catch up with technology. So you can sit here and take the law, you can take the statutes and try to whip them into shape to make them fit your hypothetical, but you may not be successful.
The law and the law enforcement are very slow to catch up. Just like I don't want to get off on this topic just yet because Craig and I think Alan want to weigh in on this, but like this bath salts thing, it brings up this whole designer drug issue where, marijuana is illegal, but it's illegal the specific chemical name of that or the name of that herb, and some of these heroin is illegal, the specific name, but then they'll design in a lab something with the similar effects, but it's a whole different chemical or different combination of chemicals, and it's legal for 6 months until the laws catch up, or sometimes years. And so that's how these products, but it's not
I was trying
only
to figure
that
out where in the
issue.
world Dan was going with that.
It's not only the issue, like the
It's a
bath
good
salts
example.
guy, it's not only the issue of the law, but the law enforcement. The police don't know this thing that says bath salts. It's innocuous. It technically could be used to put in your bathtub and soak, but people are smoking it and ingesting it. What do we do? I don't know how to. Some redneck sheriff doesn't know how to deal with that. Alan?
Dan, you're wrong on that point. Sorry, its street name is bath salts. They have absolutely, positively nothing to do with actual bath salts.
Oh, I know that, but don't they market it that way?
No.
How do they market it? Like get high and eat someone's face off?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a street name for it. It's not, they're not actually, nobody actually, markets it as bath salts.
Is it literally marketed as a drug?
It's not marketed at all. It's a street drug.
No, I heard it was sold in, see, this shows you how out of touch I am. I'm not a regular bath salts user. Although if you eat too many fried foods, you will become one. But I don't want to get into it. But I thought it was, so that's just a street name. I thought this was something sold in little packets in some convenience stores. Because, in fact, it is, because the U.S. attorney, see, I heard about bath salts the first time, and I had the same reaction. I was like, who the hell ingests bath salts? I didn't realize it was a nickname for something.
My
but
understanding
the
is
U.S.
that it's
attorney
just a
said they're sold in stores, in packets, like professionally done, made in wherever. And so I'm sure they're sold as just like cigarette rolling papers, which people use to, make marijuana cigarettes. They're not marketed that way. They're marketed as tobacco cigarette rolling papers, and everyone winks at it. They buy them.
So Dan, before I dodge out of here, I'll just make one last point. The point I was trying to make is basically, in my opinion, the value is in building a brand and a platform. And however you get that content, that branded content, to help build that brand and that platform, it's all fair game. But just keep your costs down and do it efficiently, because you're going to be competing with people that are going to be doing it efficiently. That's the whole point I was trying to make. And I think that those that don't do it efficiently, that continue doing it the old way with a lot of employees and a lot of overhead and expensive studios and a lot of lighting and all of these things, that they're going to have a tough time. And I think we'll know the answer within 5 years as to who's right.
I think you're right, Craig. I think the key is what I want. What I want. The point you're making is do it as efficiently as possible, as cheap as possible, to maximize your revenue and minimize your expense. And that's this obviously, you know, like the American government does. Just kidding. Yeah. But what I want to do is I want to figure. I like Hangouts, obviously, right? I was a very early adopter, and I do them all the time, and I broadcast them, and I record them, and send them out, and make no money doing it as far as profit. But at the same time, I'm a guy about good content. I like there's a value in a free-for-all conversation, which I'll do sometimes. I'll do a private Hangout. There's a value in a structured Hangout program like this. And there's value in a tightly edited, recorded, well narrated, well written, well thought out, you know, capturing all the sides, being fair and doing all that stuff like 60 Minutes does. And if you can introduce on for a local market, which almost never gets that kind of treatment, they never get the opportunity to have a Steve Croft come in and cover them and get that kind of quality. So if we could figure out a way to introduce some quality content production, professional quality, on an efficient scale, and still generate revenue from it, then that would be a godsend for these smaller communities. Which, even if they do have a TV, I mean, they all have TV stations that broadcast to their area, and rarely cover them because there's just not enough numbers to make it work through their legacy expensive model. So I'm trying to figure out a way we can use YouTube and do it right. And so you've given me some great ideas, like having a contest. You know, the best. You know, submit your 3-minute YouTube video highlighting an amazing person in Warren County. The winner gets $200. I probably have 20 submissions. My cost is $10 a piece, because then the thing is I get the right to host it, all the videos on our site. I mean, that's a genius idea. So I think you can combine the two.
It's not a new concept.
Indeed, but it's not something that's been done in most small communities. What were you showing there, Craig?
That's that Battle of Bull Run. I'll show it again. I mean, it's just an example. I mean, this thing's had 27,000 views and 113 likes, 10 dislikes. Most of them didn't like. There was some fairly modern music towards the end of a Civil War rock show that a friend of mine does that I threw in there, and they didn't like that. And so I put up another version with just all period music in it, which has had like 10,000 views or something. But, you know, it didn't cost me diddly to do this video. I went there, it was all handheld shot. I didn't even have tripods. I just went around and shot the video and put it up, and with a whole bunch of photos on princewilliamcounty.com as well. And so it generated a lot of traffic, a lot of views also on Facebook. I also put it on Facebook. It's also embedded in the website and all of that. And so, you know, a couple hours work and it's done. And like you say, it's permanent content. Now, as far as what I use for my video, Final Cut Pro version 10, which makes it very easy to, there's a new way to do multicam in it, but the way I do it is I take the 2 or 3 video tracks and the audio track, and I just click on them and right click, and you can do what's called a synchronized track. It'll synchronize them all based on the audio, pull them down, and then you can split them back out again, and then you can cut out the views that you don't want. And so all of a sudden you've got a very quick switching, you know, multi-camera view shot, and it's very easy to do, very quick. I mean, extremely fast. Final Cut Pro version 10 does all the rendering in the background and everything. I mean, it's just ridiculous how quick it is to put these things together. And so that's what I'm all about, is doing it fast.
We got a couple YouTube comments. Buddha Charlie says, well, he says, great show, guys. Thank you very much. We agree. And we appreciate that. Appreciate you watching, all the folks watching. now and afterward. Contests are against the terms of service of YouTube. There's probably a way to do it. I'm sure I've seen a million people say, you know, produce a YouTube video for whatever, and we'll give you a prize, you know, to the best one or whatever. There's got to be a way to do it that would, you know, meet the rules.
Well, if they gave you the video, Dan, what you would do is you'd have them give you the video on like a flash drive or something, and you would upload it to YouTube.
Yeah, there's got to be a way. We'd have to look into that because we wouldn't want to sell ads on something and then, you know, get them all deleted and then have this issue. And Chris 19 PS3, how come I can't become a YouTube partner when I have a video monetized? There's different. Everyone is. This was crazy, and Alan or whoever can weigh in on this, but now everyone's called a partner, but you're not really a partner. There's 3 levels of partners. Level 1 is everybody who can monetize, like me, and anybody who has a verified account, right? Like all of us here, and you're now called a YouTube partner. There's like the next level above that is people who can have their own logo and choose their own thumbnail on their videos. Instead of it being randomly selected like mine, I often look like, you know, Saddam's dead sons after the mortician job that probably cost $50. And then the third level is they can stream live like Chris Perillo does. Now we can stream live here, but it's through Google Plus. Everyone can do that, but to actually have a YouTube live thing where you can reschedule and not just stream a Hangout, but actually stream whatever your camera's showing. So those guys are like carefully selected based on their popularity or their you know, an existing national brand. You know, like Ford could get that just by asking, whereas, you know, you or me, we would have to build up a large number of subscribers because I think they have to monitor those things, and there's a labor cost involved. They can't just let everyone have a thumbnail because that could be not at all related to the actual content and piss off the viewers and hurt YouTube as a destination for video. So I see all those things there, but yeah, it sucks when you're not. And James Worley says they made a mistake calling everyone a partner. They should have left it alone and then created open monetization title for everyone. That's what they did. I don't know why they called them partner. It's not accurate. I mean, it's not. People associate partner is something, basically be able to, more editing control of your page, make it look more like a professional page, and to be able to choose your thumbnail, which is a big deal. Alan, what are your thoughts here? We probably should wrap this up pretty soon, I guess, because I'm kind of a zombie now.
Before you do that, Mike had a question there. I misunderstood it. What software are you using to switch your video feed to Google Hangouts? I'm not switching a video feed to Google Hangouts. I don't.
You doing a desktop share?
Yeah, that's all.
How are you doing your lower third?
The lower third is the plug-in.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's more.
Looks good. Looks
yeah,
good.
Moritz is it Moritz or Moritz, Alan?
I believe it's Moritz.
Moritz.
Yeah, and he's got those upgrades in the pipeline for it's gonna even be better.
How well do you know him, Alan? We got to get him on the show sometime to just chat with us about what.
Didn't you have him on the show already?
I don't think I've had Moritz. I don't think so.
Yeah, you did. The week Hangouts Lower Third was released. You had him on.
No, I had. We had Chad. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I screwed up and forgot. I don't think we've had Moritz on. Maybe we did. We had the. I'm gonna mess up the names. We had Chad when he did his thing about the Pro Studio, and then we had the Do Share, Zafrir on. But anyway, all right. I guess we'll wrap it up, and we'll do any question for any final. Or do you have anything you want to bring up, Alan? Other than your microphone level?
No, nothing in particular.
Okay. See, we had Alan and Oleg and shifts, so now we'll get to. What we'll have to do is look at the YouTube analytics and see how much engagement there was in the first part of the show versus the second part of the show. And then you two can duke that out. Any final thoughts, Mr. Mike Phillips?
No, life is good.
Life is good. That'd be a good T-shirt symbol. Any final thoughts, Wesley? I think I've already asked you that about an hour ago.
No, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I got a question for everybody, though. Might be able to answer my question. Does anybody know of a website that will list a current list of all Google-owned entities or applications and websites?
Probably Craig Shipp could answer that best, right?
No, there's no truth to the rumor that Google is thinking about acquiring the AreaGuides.com network. That is not. I've been squelching those rumors now for 3 weeks. It is just not going to happen, and they're not trying to buy PageantLive.com right now.
Is there a list, Alan, of all Google-owned properties and websites?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I know that Google barely even has a list of all of their products.
Good point.
Okay.
I found what is it? Wikipedia has a pretty current list. It lists Amiibo on there, but I didn't see Quick Office on there, which was kind of strange. They were purchased on the same day, weren't they?
Yeah, this for stuff like this reminds me of this introduction of in Google Docs, that under Tools, the research thing. That's so awesome. If you were looking up something, like if you're doing a Google Doc paper for school or whatever, and you look up Edgar Allan Poe, it shows it there. You can grab a picture and slide it in, and it puts the appropriate credit and description of the photo. You can, if you take a fact, you can bring it in, and it adds the appropriate footnote in the document as a reference for it. It's amazing. I mean, they're so smart. They really are smart. It's so useful. I can imagine, like an attorney from Mike, I mean, that ability is just unbelievable.
It'd be even cooler if you could choose how to cite it, because there's like a billion different ways to cite things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brand new feature. They'll hone it in, and they'll see. It may or may not last. I mean, for all we know, with Larry Page, I mean, if you don't get traction, you're out, buddy. Except for driverless cars and glasses.
But those get plenty of traction.
Indeed.
Mike, are you an Apple user?
Well, no. I have an Apple computer, but I wish I'd spent the money on something else.
Okay, because I was going to say Final Cut Pro 10 is in the App Store, so if you buy it, you can put it on like 5 computers. But if you're not an Apple guy, that's a moot point.
Well, the answer to your question is a better answer is that if I had an application that was optimized on an Apple computer, I would absolutely use it for that. And I mean, the choice of video editing software is a Ford Chevrolet heavy argument, and it's possible that I would ultimately get Final Cut Pro for my MacBook. But that being said, there are people recommending Premiere Pro and some of the others, Sony Vegas and all that. So I'm not sure where I'm going with it yet. But if it turns out that Final Cut Pro is the best for the application that I want to do, then I would be a Mac user for that purpose, but only for that purpose.
Yeah, I think it's just a speed thing. If you want to get the stuff done really fast, it just seems to be amazingly fast.
Yeah, the problem is that I have several people whom I really, really trust their opinions, and they all disagree.
It depends on how they're using it, probably, but
well, there are a lot of them doing what I'm doing, and I'm an audio guy. I'm not very much into video, as you can tell, and so I'm just having to feel my way through it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of tutorials and stuff up and all that. I just know from past experience that comparing it to other ways, it's scary how quick it is.
To show you what I had to do yesterday at my office, we we did a video of the CEO for a promotional purpose, and once I got the video and I recorded the audio with a lav mic, I had to record it to a digital recorder because the video camera did not have external mic input, so it sounded like it was across the room. And so I got back to my desk and I was going to synchronize the two, and I found out I didn't have sufficient software to do it, that particular file type, because I used another guy's camera. So I ended up uploading it to my buddy in the UK. He went in and took Premiere Pro, synced it up, uploaded it, got it back to me, and an hour later, here we are ready to go, studio quality with fade-ins, fade-outs, and all that sort of thing. So yesterday was kind of an amazing internet day for me, because you think about how we would have done something like that 20 years ago.
Anybody got an opinion on Final Cut Pro versus Sony Vegas Pro versus Premiere Pro from Adobe? Anybody had experience with 2 or 3 of those?
I looked at all of them before I decided on Final Cut Pro 10, and the biggest advantage is it depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it. I do stuff fast, I throw it together fast, and it's not super polished. I don't care that it is. And the speed of Final Cut Pro 10 is just scary. Now, I've got a lot of RAM, I've got a 6-core machine here and all that, but I mean, stuff that used to take me an hour using like something like iMovie or whatever would take like 8 minutes. I mean, that's the ratio. And it just the way it renders stuff in the background and the syncing you're talking about, my gosh, you take 3 clips, right mouse click, say create synchronized clip, and it's done, instant. There's no delay. The synchronized clip is done. It's right there. And then you drag it into your timeline, it's done. You separate them out, you cut out what you want, you zero out the volume and the 2 tracks you don't want the audio from, and you put your little opening and closing text on it, and you're done. You're finished.
Don't you have to render it though?
It's instant. I mean, once you put it together, okay, then I've got to export it. That's right. I've got to export it, the file, and if let's say it's a 15-minute long 1080p HD video, it's going to take maybe 8 minutes to export that out, and it's going to be a done deal on my desktop.
What kind of processor, what kind of GPU?
Well, I've got a Mac Pro with 6 cores and 24 gigs of RAM and a pretty hot graphics card. But it's quick even on my laptop. It's a damn quick program. The other thing that it does that's amazing is anytime you do something like you do slow motion or something like that, you adjust a clip or whatever, it does all that rendering in the background, and you can play whatever it is that you changed and all. You can play it immediately. You can look at it immediately and see what you've done in real time, and then it's doing the rendering in the background, and you continue working. So things that you used to do and you used to have to wait, there's none of that waiting anymore. You just bang, 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 bang through it, and you're done. It's scary.
James Worley says, for Wesley, he says, Google this. He says, over 101 Google products and services you probably don't know. And there's a nice article from Mintrust on that to answer your question. Sarik, tell us about beer night. We were hoping you'd join us. We assume you're a little tipsy. If you were it was beer night in New York City, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was out with a friend, and I don't know, maybe I had a little too much or too many, but it was fun. How did it go?
Are you relaxing now?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm pretty good. I'll keep my civility intact. How did it go? How was today's hangout?
Oh, we're still in it.
Oh, we haven't. I thought it's just an after party or something.
No, this is still going. This is epic. I was like, I can't wait for Sarik to join because he's going to be trashed.
No, I'm not trashed. What happened to Oleg? I thought he's going to join.
He was on earlier, and then Alan came in, and Oleg had to go.
I drove him away as usual. He was afraid of me.
Yes, he's terrified of
What
Alan.
was today's hot topic of discussion?
That ridiculous op-ed from that moron from Nextag, trashing Google as some monopoly, and then Google came back with facts as opposed to his conjecture
Oh, okay.
nonsense. Yeah.
It appeared on Wall Street Journal as well, I think.
Yeah, that was it was an op-ed from the Wall Street Journal. See you, Craig.
Right.
We're wrapping up. So do you have any final things to say? Because I'm on like 3 or 4 hours sleep and I'm gonna die.
No, I'm good. I mean, I'm gonna watch the video later. Video. Can't even say that. I'll say
drinking
video.
a Slurpee. Do you still have your Slurpee cup I made you buy for that one video we did?
Yeah, it is here. It is here. I saw it somewhere the other day.
Did you have fun at the beer festival?
What's that? No, it's not a festival.
Or it's beer day. What does that mean? Tell us what beer day is.
Friday nights in New York City is pretty fun.
Okay. So you're out with the boys.
It's not like Lynchburg, I'm just kidding.
Front Royal.
Front Royal, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Awesome. All right. Final thoughts from anyone. Okay, thanks, folks, for watching. We appreciate it. This is Google Plus Week. We are on every weekday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna log when I'm done. It'll finish it, but you guys can hang out if you want. We're on at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is 5 p.m. Pacific time, and either right now it's midnight GMT, but sometimes it's 1 a.m. depending on what crazy things we do with our time zone changes in these good old United States of America. Thanks so much to the folks watching and commenting. It was great. And we'll be back next week with another wonderful episode, I suppose. I sound like I was at New York's beer night. Another wonderful episode of Google Plus Week. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Thanks.